Listen closely. Can you feel it beneath the clamor of the world, beneath the relentless chase and the silent anxieties that hum under your skin? There is a whisper, an ancient truth waiting patiently for you to remember. What if I told you that everything you have been taught about wealth, about struggle, about success, is a beautifully constructed illusion, a grand play where you have been cast in a role of striving and seeking, when your true nature is that of effortless receiving? You have been told that money is paper, a number on a screen, a prize to be won through sweat and sacrifice. But that is the language of the material world, a shadow play on the wall of a cave. The reality, the sacred science you are about to reawaken to, is this: money is energy. It is not a static object to be hoarded, but a living current, a vibrant frequency that flows through the cosmos. To understand this is not merely to learn a new financial trick, it is to learn the very language of the universe. We are taught to hunt for prosperity, to chase it down with strategies and sheer force of will, but you cannot find what is already an extension of you. Wealth is not discovered, it is attracted, it is summoned. The world you see, the balance in your bank account, the opportunities that appear or vanish, is nothing more than a flawless mirror reflecting the precise resonance of your inner world. Your beliefs, your feelings, your deepest sense of worthiness. They are the tuning fork, and the universe simply matches your pitch. Therefore, the journey you are about to embark upon is not about changing your actions, but about transmuting your very being. The question is not, what must I do to get money, but who must I become to allow it? You are being called to stop the doing and begin the becoming, to embody abundance in your cells, to cultivate the feeling of fulfillment in the quiet sanctuary of your soul, before it manifests as gold in your hands. For abundance is your birthright. It is the default setting of the cosmos. The stars do not struggle to shine, nor do the oceans strive to be vast. They simply are. Scarcity is not a cosmic law, it is a cosmic amnesia, a forgetting of your own divine inheritance. Your task is not to create abundance from scratch, but to remove the dams of doubt and fire, to reconnect with the infinite river that has always been flowing toward you, waiting for you to welcome it home. This is the master key to master your finances, is to master your vibration. This is not superstition, it is the primordial physics of creation, the sacred mechanics governed by the law of vibration. You are a symphony of energy, and your life is the music you play. It is time to learn the art of attunement, to consciously, deliberately, and lovingly adjust your own frequency to harmonize with the ever-present song of infinite prosperity. This book is not a map to a hidden treasure. It is a key to unlock the vault that has always been within you. Turn the page not as a student seeking instruction, but as a master reclaiming your power. The whisper is growing louder. It is time to awaken. Chapter 1. The Melody of Wealth. Listening to the frequency beyond the material. I still remember it vividly, the chilly afternoons in my small pottery studio, my hands caked with clay, my heart heavy with an unseen anxiety. I had spent my entire life perfecting my craft, throwing pots with millimeter precision, their glazes glossy and flawless. I believed that relentless hard work and absolute skill were the keys to unlocking the door to prosperity. Yet day after day, my perfect vases sat silently on their shelves, collecting a thin layer of forgotten dust. Customers would come marvel at my technique and then quietly walk away. Meanwhile, in a corner of the market, an old woman selling simple, humbly shaped, even slightly lopsided earthen bowls was always surrounded by eager buyers. They didn't just buy, they left with warm smiles as if they were carrying home a piece of joy. I couldn't understand it. The bitterness of this injustice gnawed at my soul, until one day I realized the problem wasn't in my hands or my technique. The problem was in the frequency I didn't know how to emit. My story of the ceramic pots is also the story of your relationship with money. We are taught that we must work hard, be skilled, and create perfect products to exchange for wealth. But we forget a deeper truth, a law that operates silently behind every transaction. The visible world is merely a reflection of the invisible world. Long ago, in a kingdom nestled among green valleys, the people used neither gold nor silver. For trade, they used small cowrie shells, gleaming like pearls polished by the ocean. A farmer could trade a basket of apples for 20 shells and then use those shells to buy a bolt of cloth from the weaver. In terms of intrinsic value, the shells themselves were no more useful than pebbles on a road. You couldn't eat them, wear them, or build a house with them. Their power didn't come from their physical substance. Their power came from an invisible collective energetic agreement. Everyone in the kingdom, from the ruler to the shepherd boy, mutually believed that these shells represented value. It was this shared belief, this vast consensus of consciousness, that transformed inanimate objects into a powerful current of exchange. This is the first and most fundamental lesson. Money in any form, shell, paper, metal, or anxiously dancing numbers on a screen, has no inherent value. It is a physical symbol for an invisible energetic agreement. It is the crystallization of belief. When you hold a coin, you aren't just holding a piece of metal. You are holding a fragment of collective trust, a promise silently acknowledged by millions. Understanding this frees you from the illusion that money is a finite thing you must hunt and hoard. To ground this truth, listen to the story of two musicians who lived in the same era. The first was named Lysander. He was the lead violinist in the royal orchestra. His technique was legendary. His fingers flew across the fingerboard with lightning speed, pulling forth complex melodies perfect to the last note. People respected him, and the king paid him a handsome fee in gold. But whenever he performed, Lysander's focus was on not making a single mistake. His gaze was tense, his mind calculating every movement. His music, while technically perfect, was cold and soulless. He played for gold to maintain his status. The energy he emitted was one of calculation, of the fear of error. The second was Alara, a wandering minstrel in the village markets. Her lute was old, a few strings slightly out of tune. She didn't know complex techniques or grand symphonies. She simply played the melodies her heart whispered to her. When Alara played, she closed her eyes and smiled. She didn't play to make a living. She played because it was her life. Pure joy, gentle sorrow, and a love for life itself flowed from her soul through her fingers and into every note. Her music might not have been perfect, but it was alive. It touched the hearts of those who listened. And a strange thing happened. Lysander, despite his high salary, always felt a sense of lack. He feared being replaced, feared his gold would never be enough. Alara, on the other hand, never worried about her next meal. Passers-by didn't pay her, they made offerings. They placed coins, loaves of bread, and fruit in her hat, not as a transaction, but as a heartfelt thank you for being touched, for being healed by her energetic frequency. She lived a simple yet completely abundant life, for she had aligned herself with the flow of true wealth. This story reveals an even more powerful truth. Energetic frequency is more important than physical skill. The universe does not respond to your mechanical actions. It responds to the invisible frequency behind those actions. Lysander's frequency was fear and calculation. Ilara's was joy and authenticity. It was Alara's frequency that was the true magnetic currency, attracting prosperity effortlessly. The distilled universal law. Both of these stories lead us to an undeniable conclusion. The invisible world shapes the visible world. The financial reality you are currently experiencing is not random. It is an exact mirror of your inner state of being. It is the manifested result of your relationship beliefs and emotions regarding the energy of wealth in the unseen realm. If your inner world is one of worry and lack, the outer world will mirror that lack back to you. If your inner world is one of creative joy and giving, the outer world will respond with abundance. To change your bank balance, you must first change the frequency of your soul. Transformational practice. shifting perception from object to frequency. The goal of this exercise is to begin the process of shifting your perception to practice feeling money, not as a finite object, but as a conduit for infinite, universal energy. Preparation. Find a quiet space. Take out a bill or a coin of any denomination. Connection. Hold the bill or coin in your palm. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Instead of thinking, "What can this buy?" ask yourself, what energy is flowing through this object? Feel the flow. Imagine its journey. It was once in the hands of a father buying milk for his child, an artist buying paint, a farmer after a bountiful harvest. Feel all the hope, dreams, and energetic exchanges it has been a part of. It is not an endpoint, but an energetic relay station. Merge with the energy now. See the bill or coin as a lens. Imagine a warm golden light, the energy of cosmic abundance flowing from everywhere, passing through this object and pouring into your body, filling you with a sense of security and fullness. Then imagine that energy radiating back out from you into the world. Affirmation. As this warm feeling of abundance spreads, say gently, either aloud or in your mind, "I do not chase money. I am a magnet for the energy of wealth, attracting it with the frequency of joy and authenticity." Practice this daily, even for just a few minutes. Gradually, you will begin to dissolve the illusion of scarcity and train your consciousness to resonate with the frequency of infinite abundance, where Alara and those like her dance with ease. Chapter 2. The Alchemy of the Mind, the furnace that forges a rich reality. Years ago, when I first began my journey into understanding the energetic flow of prosperity, I met a man named Samuel. He was a textile merchant, a man with a sharp mind and a tireless work ethic. Through extraordinary effort, he had built an enterprise that many could only dream of. His ships laden with fine fabrics arrived at the docks, and his coffers were filled with gold coins. But a strange law always seemed to operate in Samuel's life. Whenever his fortune reached a certain threshold, a level of wealth he hadn't even dared to imagine, in his wildest dreams, disaster would strike. One year, an unexpected storm on the high seas sank his largest ship. Another year, a longtime business partner suddenly betrayed him, absconding with a huge sum of money. Still another time, an investment that he had been supremely confident in failed inexplicably. Each time his fortune would plummet, returning him to the same level of moderate success he had grown accustomed to. He would curse his fate, rail against the gods, and throw himself back into work with even more ferocity to rebuild. But the cycle never ended. Samuel didn't realize that the real storm wasn't on the ocean, but deep within his own consciousness. He didn't know he was living in an invisible prison, its bars forged from his own beliefs about his self-worth. Samuel's story leads us to one of the universe's greatest secrets, a truth the alchemists of old concealed in symbols and code. They spoke of turning lead into gold, and the world mistakenly believed they were melting metals in physical furnaces. But true alchemy doesn't happen in a furnace. It happens in the mind. Your mind is the true alchemist's crucible. The greatest transformation is not turning one substance into another in the outer world. It is the transmutation of consciousness from one state to another within the furnace of the mind. Your thoughts, perspectives, and deeply held beliefs about money, wealth, and your own value are the lead, the raw base material. These materials, when melted down and purified by conscious intention, become gold, a vibrant and prosperous financial reality. All your external efforts, all your hard work, will be futile, like trying to forge a sword from a flawed blueprint, if the energetic blueprint in your mind is full of limitations and errors. You cannot build a castle of prosperity on a foundation of self-doubt and fear of lack. So why did Samuel, an intelligent and diligent man, continuously self-sabotage his own success? It's because within each of us operates an invisible mechanism, something I call the wealth thermostat. Imagine a thermostat in the house of your soul. But instead of measuring air temperature, it measures your level of wealth and abundance. And the temperature on this thermostat isn't set by your desires. It's set by your deepest core belief about the level of prosperity you feel you deserve to receive. If your thermostat is set to just enough to get by, then any time you have an opportunity to make significantly more money, your subconscious mind will automatically find a way to cool things down by creating events that cause you to lose money or miss the chance. Conversely, if you fall below that level, it will heat things up by motivating you to work harder to return to your familiar zone. This thermostat is the invisible guardian of your financial comfort zone. Samuel's thermostat was set to successful merchant but not an extraordinarily wealthy man. He might have been born into a humble family, and subconsciously he always believed that immense wealth was reserved for the nobility, for those born to rule, not for someone like him. So every time his reality surpassed that setting, his mind would hit the self-destruct button. It would orchestrate accidents and bad luck to bring everything back to the equilibrium it considered right. Your prosperity can never sustainably exceed the limit set by your internal thermostat. To illustrate the process of changing this thermostat, listen to the story of Leona, a stone carver. Leona lived in a small village known for her talent in creating exquisite miniature statues from river pebbles. She sold them at the weekly market and made just enough to live on. Deep down, Leona believed that artists are poor and people like me can only create small things. That was the setting on her thermostat. One day, a duke was passing through the village and happened upon one of Leona's tiny statues. He recognized the extraordinary talent hidden in the small work and gave her a commission to sculpt a life-size statue from white marble for the royal garden. It was a life-changing opportunity, but it terrified Leona. This chance had pushed her temperature far beyond her safety threshold. Step 1. Observe. For many nights, Leona couldn't sleep. She sat before the colossal block of marble feeling small and helpless. A sense of fear and unworthiness consumed her, but instead of giving up, she did something different. She took out a leather-bound journal and began to write down all of those thoughts. I can't do this. This stone is too big and I am too small. If I fail, everyone will laugh at me. The Duke's money is dangerous money. For the first time, she brought the beliefs operating in the darkness out into the light. She observed them. Step 2. Release. After identifying her greatest enemy, the belief, I am not worthy, Leona decided to perform a ritual. She went to her fireplace, read each limiting belief she had written aloud, and then tossed the paper into the flames. As she watched the fire consume the paper, she imagined it also burning away the invisible chains that had bound her for so long. She wept not from sadness, but from a profound sense of release. Step 3. Reprogram. The next day, Leona returned to the block of marble, but this time, before picking up her hammer and chisel, she placed her hands on the cool stone, closed her eyes, and whispered a new affirmation. These hands are guided by the beauty of the universe. I am a channel for great creation, and I am worthy of all the rewards it brings. She repeated this every morning, planting a new, powerful seed in the soil of her mind. Months later, the statue was complete. It wasn't just beautiful, it had a soul. It carried the energy of Leona's liberation and newfound confidence. The Duke was overjoyed and paid her a fortune. But more importantly, Leona had successfully reset her own thermostat. From that day forward, she no longer feared large projects or great wealth. She had become an alchemist, turning the fear in her mind into beauty in stone and abundance in her life. The distilled universal law. Leona's journey charts a clear path for us. You cannot change your reality by wishing for it. You must become a conscious alchemist using a 3-step process to remake your energetic blueprint. Observe, release, and reprogram. Transformational practice, redesigning your financial thermostat. This is your moment to become the alchemist of your own life. Find a quiet time and space where you will not be disturbed. Step 1. Observe. Become a belief detective. Take out a journal and a pen. Answer the following questions with brutal honesty. Write down whatever comes to mind without judgment. What was the first lesson you ever learned about money? What did your parents or the adults around you say about rich people, e.g., they're greedy? They're just lucky. Money changes people. When you think about having a very large sum of money, what is the first fear that arises? Complete these sentences. Money is. Rich people are. People like me never. Step 2. Release. Perform a ritual of letting go. Read over what you've written. Choose the one limiting belief that you feel has the most powerful hold on you. Write that single belief on a separate piece of paper. Now perform a symbolic act to release it. You could safely burn the paper and watch it turn to ash. Tear it into the smallest possible pieces and throw it away. Bury it in the earth. As you do this, say aloud, "The energy of this belief no longer belongs to me. I release it from my mind, my body, and my energy field. I am free." Step 3. Reprogram. Plant the seed of prosperity. Take a new, clean page in your journal. Write down a new, empowering affirmation that is the polar opposite of the old belief you just released. For example, old belief, money is hard to come by. New belief, I am a magnet for money. Prosperity flows to me easily and naturally. Old belief, I'm not good at managing money. New belief, I am a wise steward of wealth. Money in my hands multiplies and creates value. Choose one new affirmation and write it on a small piece of paper you can carry with you. Read it every morning when you wake up and every night before you sleep. Read it with feeling, with conviction, as if it were already true. As you repeat this process, you are sending a new command to the universe and to your subconscious. You are slowly turning up the dial on your thermostat, allowing a warmer, more abundant flow into your life. Remember this affirmation, my mind is a sacred garden. I weed out the limitations and plant the seeds of infinite prosperity. Chapter 3. Breaking the invisible chains, reclaiming your birthright to abundance. I remember the image of my grandmother, a woman with kind eyes that were permanently etched with a deep-seated worry. She had lived through the great famine years when a dry crumb of bread was a fortune. She survived, but the memory of scarcity carved a permanent scar into her soul. Whenever I received a gift or had a small success, she would stroke my head and whisper, "Don't be too happy, child. Life never gives anyone everything. What is gained will be lost." She didn't say it from a place of malice, but from a loving desire to protect me from the disappointment she had known so intimately. For many years, her words became an unconscious whisper in my own mind. Whenever a great opportunity arose, a vague sense of guilt and fear would surface. I didn't realize I was living in a prison without bars, a prison built from the pain of a previous generation. I did not experience the famine, but I inherited the energy of the famine. I was carrying a set of chains I didn't even know existed. This story illuminates a fundamental truth in our spiritual and financial journey. The scarcity mindset is an inherited spiritual chain. The feeling that there isn't enough, that you must fight for every scrap, that wealth is always tied to risk and loss. This is not objective reality. It is a state of consciousness, a mental prison built and reinforced over generations. Like invisible shackles passed from one person to the next, these beliefs about scarcity limit your potential. They don't bind you with iron, but with the power of stories, admonitions, and unhealed traumas that are deeply embedded in your family's subconscious and the collective consciousness. You may be fighting the ghosts of a war your grandparents endured, or carrying the weight of a vow of poverty your ancestors made. Realizing that this is an inherited legacy, not your true nature, is the first step to freedom. Sometimes, however, these chains are more subtly disguised under a cloak of nobility. This is where we must confront a more difficult truth. Resistance to prosperity can be disguised as virtue. Listen to the story of Elian, a healer who lived on the eastern mountain. As a young man, Elian had watched his wealthy father become greedy and cruel, using money to oppress others. The pain and shame drove Elian to leave his family. In a fit of righteous anger, the young man made a vow to the heavens, "I will never be like him. I will live a pure and simple life, healing people without thought of fame or profit. I reject wealth and the evil that comes with it." This vow, made from a pure but wounded heart, became a powerful law governing Elian's life. He became a great healer, his knowledge profound and his compassion boundless. People sought him out from all corners of the land. They brought gifts to show their gratitude: gold, silver, fine silks, food. But Elian always refused. He would only accept a few herbs in return. He believed that rejecting riches was proof of his righteousness. Years passed and a great plague swept through the region. Elian worked day and night, but he quickly ran out of herbs and resources. He looked at the sick and dying lying everywhere and felt utterly helpless. He could have saved so many more if he had a larger clinic, if he had the money to buy rare medicinal ingredients from faraway lands. It was in that moment that he realized a painful truth. His vow of poverty, the very thing he considered a virtue, was now the barrier preventing him from helping more people. His poverty was not a virtue, it was a limitation. By rejecting the flow of prosperity, he had inadvertently rejected the very flow of resources that could have nourished and healed his entire community. He realized that wealth itself is neither good nor bad. It is simply an amplifying energy. In the hands of a greedy person, it becomes a weapon, but in the hands of a person with a compassionate heart, it becomes a mighty tool for healing. The distilled universal law. Elian's journey shows us that escaping spiritual chains is not a passive process. You cannot simply wait for them to disappear. Liberation requires a conscious act to break and reclaim. You must become a warrior of light for your own life. This process requires the courage to face the beliefs that have shaped you, to declare boldly that they no longer serve your highest good, and then to use your will to shatter them. But breaking them is not enough. Nature abhors a vacuum. You must actively fill the newly liberated space by declaring and embodying a new opposing truth, the truth of your inherent worthiness, power, and right to live in abundance. Transformational practice, the ritual of breaking chains and reclaiming truth. This exercise is ceremonial and very powerful. Perform it when you have a private space and can truly focus. Step 1. Identify your chains. Sit down and quiet your mind. Reflect, what is your family's scarcity story? Like my grandmother's story. Have you ever experienced a painful event related to money that caused you to make an unconscious decision or a silent vow to protect yourself? Like Elian, write down that root belief or vow. For example, my family can never be truly wealthy. Money is the root of all evil. To be safe, it's best to only have just enough. Step 2. The ritual of breaking by visualization. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Visualize the belief you just wrote down as a physical object. Perhaps it's a heavy metal chain wrapped around you, a tattered old cloak, or an ancient contract. Feel its weight and its limitation. See where it came from. Perhaps you see images of your parents, grandparents, or a past version of yourself. Speak to it. Say, "I see you. I understand you were once here to protect me, my family. I am grateful for that lesson and that protection, but now your service is complete." Now summon your willpower. Imagine your hands glowing with light, or that you are holding a sword of light, a mighty hammer. With a decisive and powerful action in your mind, shatter, break, Burn that object. Visualize it exploding into tiny particles of light and dissolving into nothingness. Feel the immediate lightness in your body and your energy field. Step 3. Reclaim your truth. Immediately after the chains have vanished, that space is open to receive a new truth. Still with your eyes closed, stand tall either physically or in your mind, place a hand on your heart, and declare aloud with conviction, I, your name, do hereby declare the breaking of all vows of poverty, all agreements of lack, whether conscious or unconscious, in this lifetime or any other made by myself or by my ancestors. That legacy ends here and now. I release them with love and gratitude. I claim my sacred birthright to live in abundance, joy, and freedom. I am a channel for the infinite prosperity of the universe. Wealth in my hands is a tool for creation, for blessing, and for upliftment. This is my new truth. And so it is. Breathe deeply, feeling the energy of this declaration permeate every cell of your being. You are not just wishing, you are commanding a new reality into existence. Carry this final affirmation as your guiding star. I am the chain breaker. I am the lawmaker. My lineage begins a new legacy of prosperity today. Chapter 4. The Eternal Spring. Opening the channels of prosperity from within. As a young man, my mind was haunted by tales of the Valley of the Sunstones, a mythical place hidden behind misty mountain ranges, where shimmering streams and the earth itself were said to be filled with gems that glowed with a warm light. I believed that if I could find that place, my life would be forever rich and secure. I spent years studying old maps, learning the ways of the forest and the mountains. I bid farewell to my family, setting aside the gift of wood carving my father had passed down to me to begin my great quest. I walked and walked. I crossed dense jungles and treacherous passes, facing hunger and solitude. Every sign, every rumor would ignite a flicker of hope, only to be extinguished by disappointment. The legendary valley remained a distant dream, until one day, exhausted and lost, I collapsed beside a stream in an unknown forest. When I awoke, I saw an old man sitting beside me, smiling. He didn't ask where I was going. He simply handed me a piece of wood and a small knife. You look like you have the hands of a craftsman, he said. With no other purpose to pursue, I did as he suggested. I began to carve. I carved the image of a bird I had seen that morning, the ripples on the stream's surface, the homesickness in my heart. The old man took my small creations to a nearby village, and the people loved them. They traded me food, clothes, and a warm place to stay. Gradually, I came to a realization more brilliant than any sunstone. The source of life of abundance wasn't in some mysterious valley. It was right here in my own two hands, in the talent I had nearly abandoned. I had traveled the world in search of a treasure when all along I was the treasure. My quest is the story of so many of us. We are taught to look for wealth on the outside, a better job, an investment opportunity, a wealthy partner, a lucky break. We act like someone searching for a mythical fountain in the desert, all while an eternal spring is flowing powerfully right beneath our own backyard. This is one of the most critical shifts in consciousness you must make. The source of prosperity is within you, not outside of you. All true sustainable abundance originates from the divine consciousness and potential inside you. Jobs, clients, or investments are not the source. They are merely the various channels through which your inner source can flow out into the world. When you understand this, you stop chasing the channels. Instead, you focus on clearing and nurturing your own spring. To understand the nature of this source more deeply, listen to the story of the merchant named Lyra. Lyra was a living legend in the port city. She owned a mighty fleet of merchant ships, her warehouses overflowing with spices and silks. People looked at her material assets and called it wealth. But then on one fateful night, a terrible storm sank almost her entire fleet at sea. At the same time, a political upheaval caused her partners to cancel their contracts. Her fortune vanished in less than a week. From being the wealthiest merchant in the city, Lyra was left with nothing. Many thought she was broken, but they were wrong. After a few days of grieving, Lyra sat down and asked herself, what was truly lost? The ships and the cargo, but what remains? And she realized her true treasure had never been lost. It was her sharp business acumen, her masterful negotiation skills, her network of relationships built on integrity, her courage and extraordinary resilience in the face of adversity, her creativity to see opportunities others missed. She realized true wealth is inner capacity, not material assets. Money and possessions are merely the temporary results of applying that inner capacity. They are the leaves on the tree. Her capacity was the root system. Leaves may fall with the seasons, but as long as the roots remain, the tree will always sprout again. Armed with this truth, Lyra started over. She had no ships, but she had knowledge. She became a consultant for young merchants. She had no capital, but she had a reputation. She acted as a broker for major deals, earning commissions. She used these very assets, the ones that could not be sunk, stolen, or devalued, to create material wealth once again. And this time, she was free from the fear of loss, because she knew with certainty that the true source lay within her. The distilled universal law. My journey and Lyra's both point to a two-step process for manifesting sustainable prosperity. You cannot just sit still and hope the spring will flow on its own. You must become a spiritual hydraulic engineer for your own soul. Connect to the source and identify the channels. Connect to the source. This is the conscious act of turning inward. It's the moment you stop seeking validation or resources from the outside, and instead you quiet yourself to feel and affirm that you are the source. This is the shift from a mindset of, I need to get abundance, to I am abundance. Identify the channels after connecting to the source. You must identify the pathways for that source to flow out into the world. These are your unique gifts, talents, and passions. For me, the channel was wood carving. For Lyra, the channels were her business intellect and integrity. The universe has given you unique channels. Your task is to recognize, honor, and use them. Wealth is not created when you try to copy someone else's channel. It is created when you allow the infinite source within to flow through the unique channel that is you. Transformational practice. Drawing your inner treasure map. This exercise will help you take the 2 steps of connecting and identifying, allowing you to draw the map to your own true treasure. Part 1. Connect with the source. A 5-minute practice. Find a quiet place, sit comfortably, and close your eyes. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Shift your attention from the outside world to the center of your chest. Imagine a small, radiant sun glowing there, emitting a warm golden light. This is your eternal spring, the place that holds all creativity, all wisdom, all love, and all abundance. Feel the warmth of this sun spreading throughout your body. Know that it is infinite. It can never run dry. Repeat silently in your mind, I am not seeking the source. I am the source. Remain in this state for a few minutes, simply feeling and becoming that source. Chapter 5. The Magic of Words. How language creates your financial flow. In the small village where I grew up, there was a potter named Isadora. Her vases were beautifully shaped, but they often cracked in the kiln. Every time she carefully placed a new creation into the heat, she would sigh and mumble, I just hope this one doesn't crack. She often complained to her neighbors, I'm so unlucky, the most beautiful vases always seem to break themselves. She spoke of failure so often, it was as if it were a familiar companion. As a young boy, I often sat and watched her work. One afternoon, after hearing her familiar lament once again, I asked with childish innocence, Ma'am, why don't you tell the vase it will be strong and beautiful? Isadora chuckled at the question, but something in my words touched her. The next day, as she placed a new vase in the kiln, she paused. Instead of her usual sigh, she placed a hand on the cool clay and whispered, "You will become strong. You will hold your beauty. You will bring joy to a new home." She felt silly doing it, but she persisted. Gradually, something miraculous happened. The percentage of cracked pots decreased significantly. Her creations became not only beautiful, but also durable. Isadora hadn't changed her pottery technique. She had changed something even more fundamental, the language she used to speak to her reality. She learned that words are not merely for description, they are for creation. Isadora's story reveals one of the most powerful and often overlooked laws of the universe. Words are a form of energetic currency. The universe doesn't operate on human logic. It operates on vibrational frequency. Every word you speak, every sentence you utter is more than just sound. It is an energetic coin, a vibrational packet of information that you send out into the universal field. Words that carry the frequency of gratitude, abundance, and faith. I am grateful. There is always enough. Everything is working out for my good. Will purchase corresponding experiences. They are gleaming gold coins, attracting prosperity, opportunity, and favorable flow toward you. Conversely, words that carry the frequency of complaint, worry, and lack, I don't have enough money. That's just my bad luck. Everything is so expensive, are also a currency. They are heavy leaden coins used to purchase the very experiences of scarcity, stagnation, and hardship. You are always transacting with the universe through your words. The only question is, which currency are you using? This truth goes even deeper. Your words don't just influence your reality, they are creating it. You are literally speaking your financial reality into existence. Consider two farmers living on adjacent plots of land under the same sun and sky. The first farmer, upon walking into his field each morning, looks at the sky and says, "The weather is terrible this year. This harvest is bound to fail." When he sees a single pest, he worries, "These bugs are going to destroy everything." His statements are not mere descriptions. They are creative commands, self-fulfilling prophecies. He is ordering his mind to focus only on signs of failure and sending out a frequency that invites that very failure. The second farmer, upon entering his field, places a hand on the earth and says, "I am grateful for this land. Together we will create a bountiful harvest." When he sees a dark cloud, he says, "The plants need water, this rain is timely." He isn't denying reality, but he is choosing to interpret and speak about it with the language of trust and co-creation. He is sending out a command for growth. As a result, despite the same conditions, his land always seems more lush and fruitful. He isn't luckier. He is simply a more conscious creator. When you say, "I can't afford that," you have just slammed an energetic door shut. You are declaring a truth, and the universe will obey, making it your experience. But if you change the statement to, "How can I create the resources for this?" you have opened a door. You are issuing a new command for your mind to find solutions and sending out a frequency that invites creativity. The distilled universal law, becoming a conscious creator, requires discipline. It demands that you retrain one of your most unconscious habits, your language. Retraining your language is the key to unlocking prosperity. To change the numbers in your ledger, you must first change the words in your mind and on your lips. This process isn't complicated, but it does require mindfulness. It consists of 3 simple steps. Recognize, interrupt, and replace. Recognize. Become aware of the words and phrases of lack you use out of habit each day. Interrupt. The moment you notice yourself repeating the old pattern, pause. That single moment of pause is you taking back your power. Replace actively and intentionally. Speak an alternative, a statement that carries the language of abundance, possibility, and gratitude. This is how, one word at a time, you recalibrate your own vibration to align with the universe's natural flow of prosperity. Transformational practice: becoming a verbal alchemist. This exercise will help you practice the art of turning the lead of scarcity language into the gold of abundance. Step 1. Keep a scarcity language log. For the next 24 hours, become a silent observer of yourself. Carry a small notebook or use a note-taking app. Your task is to notice and jot down every scarcity-based phrase or thought that appears. Don't judge, just record. Examples: that's too expensive. I don't have enough money. Ugh, it's bill day again. Making money is so hard. I'm never lucky with money. Step 2. Forge your golden coin replacements. Now look at the list you've made. For each leaden coin of scarcity, forge a golden coin replacement. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about reframing reality by focusing on possibility and gratitude. Leaden coin: that's too expensive. Golden coin: I am choosing where to direct my resources right now. The universe is abundant. Leaden coin: I don't have enough money. Golden coin: I am grateful for all that I have and I am open to receiving more. Resources flow to me easily. Leaden coin: making money is hard. Golden coin: I attract abundance by sharing my unique gifts and creating value. Step 3. Practice conscious interrupt and replace. From now on, make a pact with yourself. Every time you catch yourself about to speak or think a phrase from your old list, perform the interruption, take a deep breath, or place a hand on your heart. This small physical act breaks the automatic pattern. Immediately afterward, replace it by saying your corresponding golden coin, aloud if possible, or silently to yourself. At first, this may feel unnatural. Persist. You are doing something incredibly important. You are retracting the old commands of scarcity and issuing new commands of prosperity. You are reprogramming your own energy field. Carry this affirmation as a reminder of your power. Every word I speak is a seed. Today I choose to plant only the seeds of prosperity, gratitude, and abundance. Chapter 6. The Breath of the Universe, the Art of Balancing Giving and Receiving. I once knew a woman named Ilara, a natural-born healer who lived in a small house at the edge of the forest. The energy from her hands could soothe pain, and her knowledge of herbs could drive back illness. She saw her abilities as a sacred gift and dedicated her entire life to serving others. From dawn until dusk, people sought her help, and she never turned anyone away. The villagers' gratitude for her was boundless. They brought her baskets of fresh fruit, warm bolts of cloth, and a few coins for her upkeep. But every single time, Ilara would gently wave them away, saying, "I cannot accept this. This gift of healing comes from the universe, not from me. I give it unconditionally." She believed that receiving anything in return would taint the purity of her mission. As the years passed, something tragic began to happen. Ilara's herb garden grew barren because she had no time to tend to it. Her robes became tattered and worn. Her body grew thin and perpetually tired. The healing energy in her hands began to wane. She was still giving, but she was giving from a well that had run dry. One day, an old man whom she had just cured of a terrible illness placed a bag of seeds in her hand and said, "Ma'am, if you refuse these seeds, you also refuse the harvest they could bring. You are refusing my gratitude, the chance to sprout. Please let us water the spring that saved our lives." The old man's words were like a thunderclap, awakening Ilara from her trance. She realized that in her effort to keep herself pure, she had inadvertently blocked the natural flow of life itself. Ilara's story is a profound lesson on the nature of prosperity. Prosperity is a two-way flow, not a one-way street. Like all life in the universe, it operates on a sacred cyclical law of exchange. Think of it as your own breath. You cannot only exhale, give without inhaling, receiving. If you only exhale, you will run out of life force. Conversely, if you only inhale without exhaling, your body will become toxic and stagnant. Life exists only in the balanced rhythm of both. The flow of prosperity is the same. It requires both actions. Focusing on only one direction will always lead to a blockage. Giving without receiving leads to burnout. Receiving without giving leads to stagnation. In both cases, the life-giving flow of energy is stopped. One of the greatest barriers on the spiritual path to financial wellness comes from a disastrous misunderstanding. We are taught that sacrifice is noble, that spiritual people should have little concern for material things. This leads to the false belief that refusing to receive is a blockage, not a virtue. When Alara refused the gifts, she wasn't just refusing a basket of fruit. She was refusing the energy of gratitude. She was sending a message to the universe: I don't need you to replenish me. I am not worthy of receiving. This is not humility. It is an act of resistance, an invisible knot in the universal energy grid. It not only depleted her, but also deprived others of the joy and blessing of their own giving. To be a powerful channel for giving, you must be a willing and open receiver. Receiving does not make you less pure or less spiritual. On the contrary, it refuels you. It fills your well so that you can continue to give in a way that is sustainable and even more powerful. Accepting a compliment, a gift, or a fair payment for your work is a spiritual act. It is you saying yes to the universe, saying yes to the cyclical flow of life. To see the other side of this imbalance, consider the story of Silas, a wealthy landowner. He inherited a vast fortune and spent his entire life hoarding. He collected rents, raised prices, and locked his gold and silver away in a dark vault. He only knew how to inhale. The river of money flowed into his coffers, but never had an exit. As a result, though his assets were immense, his life was pitifully poor. He lived in constant fear of being robbed, had no true friends, and his soul was as barren as a desert. His wealth had become a stagnant pond, a swamp of decay. It did not bring life, only an inner rot. The distilled universal law. The stories of both Alara only exhaling and Silas only inhaling reveal a vital truth. Harmony in giving and receiving is not a default state. Balancing energy requires mindfulness and conscious adjustment. Like a tightrope walker, you must constantly observe and make small corrections to maintain your equilibrium. This is an essential spiritual practice for maintaining a prosperous, healthy, and energized life. You need to regularly audit the energy flows in your life. Identify the areas of imbalance and proactively take concrete actions to restore the natural breath of the universe. Transformational practice, the giving and receiving energy audit. This exercise is designed to help you shine a light on your own energy flow and make the necessary adjustments to reestablish balance. Step 1. Audit your energy flow. Take out your journal and divide a page into 2 clear columns, giving the exhale and receiving the inhale. In the giving column, list all the ways you give away your energy, time, and resources in a typical week. Examples: work hours, caring for family, helping friends, paying bills, charitable donations, listening to others, creative efforts. In the receiving column, list all the ways you allow yourself to receive. Be honest. Examples: gracefully accepting a compliment instead of saying it was nothing, receiving gifts without guilt, taking time for self-care, reading, a bath rest, asking for help when you need it, receiving your salary, fair payment for your work. Step 2. Diagnose the imbalance. Now look at the 2 columns you've written. Which column is visibly longer or heavier? How do you feel when you look at each column? Proud, exhausted, guilty, or joyful? Identify your tendency. Are you an Alara, an overgiver who feels drained and perhaps even a bit resentful? Or do you lean toward being a Silas, hesitant to give and feeling stagnant, isolated, or anxious? Step 3. Intentional course correction. Based on your diagnosis, commit to one small action this week to begin restoring balance. If you are imbalanced toward giving, the Elara type, your task this week is to practice receiving. When someone compliments you, simply smile and say, "Thank you." Don't explain or diminish it. If a friend offers to buy you a coffee, joyfully accept. Proactively schedule 30 minutes of receiving time for yourself to do absolutely nothing but enjoy. If you are imbalanced toward receiving, the Silas type, your task this week is to practice giving. Give a sincere and unexpected compliment to a stranger or coworker. Donate an item you no longer use. Offer 15 minutes of your time to help someone with no expectation of return. Open a small outlet for your stagnant pond to flow. Remember, this is a dance, a rhythm. By practicing these small adjustments, you are learning to dance with the universe, inhaling and exhaling in perfect harmony. Carry this affirmation with you. I am an open channel for the universe's abundant flow. I joyfully give and gratefully receive. I inhale abundance and I exhale blessing. Chapter 7. Healing your ancestral legacy. Breaking the invisible ceiling of prosperity. I once worked with a carpenter named Finian, an artisan with golden hands. The chairs he built, the cabinets he carved, they were all masterpieces. He worked for a large workshop and was respected by everyone, but there was something strange about him. Whenever an opportunity arose for him to open his own workshop, to put his own name on a major project, an invisible fear would choke him. He would become hesitant, procrastinate, and ultimately always find a reason to refuse. He felt there was an invisible ceiling. He simply could not break a boundary he was powerless to cross. During a deep conversation, I guided him into a quiet state and asked about the source of that fear. A hazy image appeared in his mind. He saw his great-grandfather, a brilliant shipbuilder. He was standing before the largest and most beautiful ship he had ever built, his eyes gleaming with pride. But then the scene changed. A storm struck during the maiden voyage, the ship was lost to the sea, and his great-grandfather lost everything: his reputation, his fortune, and his faith in himself. The pain and shame were so immense that they created a subconscious rule within the family's energy. Never be too proud. Never put your name on your greatest work. Visibility invites disaster. Safety is in being a good craftsman, not a great master. Finian began to weep. He realized the fear that was holding him back was not his own. It was an inherited trauma, an energetic scar passed down through generations. Finian's story illuminates a truth that can completely change how you view your financial struggles. Your financial barriers are often a legacy in your spiritual DNA. The biggest limitations, the repeating patterns around money, were often not created by you in this lifetime. They are an invisible inheritance passed down from your lineage. Your ancestors' fears of loss, beliefs about scarcity, and unspoken rules about how much is enough were woven into your energy field before you were even conscious. They create invisible ceilings, limits that, no matter how hard you try, seem to have an unseen force pulling you back. You are not weak or incapable. You are simply carrying a burden that is not yours to bear. Upon this realization, the first reaction might be anger or blame. But to be truly free, we must take another step, guided by a deeper understanding. That limiting belief was once a loving protection mechanism. Let's return to Finian's great-grandfather. The subconscious rule he created was not a curse. It was a last-ditch effort born of love to protect his descendants from the devastating pain he had endured. It was a survival strategy encoded into the family's energy with one message: I have suffered. I do not want you to go through this. Stay in the safe zone. Similarly, a belief that money is evil may have been created by an ancestor who was betrayed for money. A belief that one should only have just enough might come from someone who lived through a famine and believed that hoarding would invite danger. When we view these legacies not as chains of resentment, but as shields forged from love and pain, everything changes. Judgment gives way to compassion. Blame dissolves into gratitude. And this is the very key that allows us to lovingly release them instead of fighting them in vain. The distilled universal law. This truth leads us to the most profound and powerful healing action of all. Free yourself by healing your lineage. Your financial freedom is not a solitary journey. It is intimately connected to healing the energetic scars of your ancestors. You cannot build a new house on a cracked foundation. You must first heal the foundation itself. This requires a conscious ceremony to perform 3 sacred steps. Recognize, honor, and release. In doing so, you not only lift the burden from yourself, but you also send healing energy back in time to your ancestors and forward to future generations. You become the pattern breaker. You become the hero of your lineage. Transformational practice, a ritual to heal your family's financial legacy. This is a profound ritual. Find a time and space where you will not be disturbed. You may wish to light a candle to represent the light of awareness and truth. Step 1. Recognize and connect with the legacy. Sit in your sacred space. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly and deeply. Set a clear intention. I wish to connect with the financial energy legacy of my lineage. Gently ask in your mind, what pattern, fear, or belief about money, success, and wealth has been repeated in my family for generations? Don't try to analyze. Simply allow feelings, images, or words to surface. You might feel a sense of sadness and anxiety, or see a faint image. Trust what comes to you. It could be a fear of success, a fear of failure, a fear of being seen, or a belief that good people aren't rich. Step 2. Honor and express gratitude. Once you have a sense of the pattern, hold it in your mind and heart with compassion. Say aloud or silently with all your sincerity, I bow in love and honor to all the ancestors of my lineage. I acknowledge and honor the challenges, the pain, and the losses you endured. I understand that this belief, fear about name the pattern you identified, was created as an act of love, as a way to protect future generations. I sincerely thank you for that good intention and for that protection. Thank you for keeping the lineage safe with everything you knew and were able to do. Take a moment to truly feel this gratitude. Step 3. Release and declare the new legacy. This is the moment you reclaim your sovereignty. Sit up straight, place a hand on your heart, and declare clearly and powerfully, with all love and respect for my ancestors, I hereby declare that the protective mission of this legacy is now complete. Its energy has been seen honored and is now permitted to rest. I, your name, as a sovereign member of this lineage, now release myself and all generations past and future from the burden of this belief, fear. I choose a new path. I choose to write a new legacy. A legacy of peaceful prosperity, of joyful success, of spiritual wealth. I will be the living proof of this new legacy. May this healing bring freedom and peace to all. Breathe deeply, feeling the shift in your energy field. You may feel lighter, freer. You have just performed a powerful act of love and liberation. Carry this affirmation as the seal for your new legacy. I am the healer of my lineage's past, the creator of its present, and the seed of its future. The legacy of prosperity begins with me. Chapter 8. Becoming the worthy vessel. When the universe chooses to entrust you with prosperity. In my younger years, I was obsessed with a legend. The legend of the gatekeeper's garden, a secret place where all the knowledge of wealth and the laws of the universe were said to be hidden. I believed that if I could just find the gatekeeper and enter that garden, I would have all the answers. That quest took me everywhere, led me to meet many wise people, and had me reading countless ancient books. I accumulated a great deal of knowledge, but the gate to the garden seemed to remain firmly shut. I asked an old hermit who lived on a mountain, "Sir, why does the universe hide its secrets? Why doesn't the gatekeeper open the door for sincere seekers like me?" The hermit simply smiled and handed me a small seed. He said, "The universe does not hide. The universe protects. A powerful seed cannot be sown in barren soil, for it will wither and die. A strong current cannot be poured into a cracked vessel, for it will shatter the vessel. You do not need to find the gatekeeper. You need to become the garden." His words stunned me. I realized that for all those years, I had been trying to break down the gate to get into the garden instead of focusing on making the soil of my own soul fertile and ready to receive the seed. I had been chasing the water instead of patiently building a sturdy vessel. This was the final and most profound lesson of my journey. Prosperity is not something to be hunted, but a trust to be earned. My lesson with the hermit is the key that unlocks the final door. The wisdom of prosperity is protected by spiritual maturity. The deepest and most powerful principles of wealth are not truly hidden. They are carefully guarded. The universe in its infinite wisdom will not hand a sharp sword to a child, for it knows the child will injure himself. Likewise, it does not grant true financial power, the ability to create and direct great currents of energy, to those who lack the necessary soul-level maturity. The key to this treasury is not frantic seeking or sharp intellect, but the maturation of the soul, the readiness to use that power for service, rather than merely for the ego. So how does the universe know when we are ready? What signal do we need to emit so that the invisible gatekeepers know we are mature enough? The answer lies in the shift of our intention. Guidance appears when purpose transcends profit. Imagine a king searching for someone to whom he can pass down the secrets of ruling his kingdom. He would not choose the person who comes and says, "Please teach me how to be as powerful and wealthy as you." He would be drawn to the person who comes and says, "Your Majesty, I see the people need stronger bridges. Please show me how to build them." Great teachers, grand opportunities, and profound guidance do not appear in response to your needs or selfish ambitions. They are attracted by the frequency of service. The moment you shift your focus from "what can I get from the world" to "how can I offer my unique gift to the world," you become a living magnet. Your consciousness aligns with a higher purpose, and that very alignment attracts wisdom and support from the universe. You are no longer a beggar, you become a partner. This leads us to the central lesson, a truth that encapsulates everything we have learned so far. This is where the search ends and the true journey begins. Become the vessel, don't chase the water. For years, you may have tried to find the formula, the strategy, or the secret to getting rich. You were chasing the water. But the most important lesson is not how to find the stream of prosperity. The most important lesson is how to build yourself into a vessel so worthy that the stream finds you. A cracked vessel cannot hold water. A soul that lacks integrity, wisdom, and compassion cannot contain sustainable prosperity. Instead of hunting for answers on the outside, turn within. Focus all your energy on cultivating your inner vessel. Forge integrity in every small action. Cultivate wisdom through learning and contemplation. Expand your compassion by listening and understanding. Define your life's purpose and your spirit of service. When your vessel is built from these durable materials, when it is ready, something magical happens. You no longer need to search. The water of wisdom and prosperity, which was always there, will find its own way to you to fill it, because the universe is always seeking worthy vessels through which it can pour its blessings into the world. The distilled universal law. The spiritual journey of finance is not a race for accumulation. It is a process of becoming. The ultimate goal is not to have more, but to be more worthy. When you become a vessel of integrity, wisdom, and service, you do not need to worry about what will fill it. The universe will take care of that. Transformational practice, building your inner vessel. This final exercise is not a single action, but a commitment to a quality of being. It is you declaring to the universe that you are ready to cultivate your own garden. Step 1. Define your purpose of service. Look back at the inner treasure map you drew in earlier chapters, your talents, passions, and wisdom. Now ask a deeper question. How can these gifts be used to serve something larger than myself? Don't think about money or profit. Think about contribution. Write a short statement of service. Examples: my purpose is to use my creativity to bring beauty and joy to living spaces. Or, my purpose is to use my ability to listen to help others feel seen and at peace. Step 2. Commit to a virtue. A strong vessel is made of noble materials. For this week, choose one of the following virtues to consciously practice integrity. Keeping your promises both to others and to yourself. Compassion, truly listening to someone without judgment or trying to fix them. Patience, accepting that all things need time to germinate and grow. Gratitude, actively looking for and acknowledging the good in every situation. Write your chosen virtue in your journal, and each day note one small action you took to express it. Step 3. The Vessel's Prayer. Each night before you sleep, take a moment to read this prayer. This is not a plea, but a declaration of who you are becoming. I am no longer chasing the water. I am here patiently building my vessel. I cultivate integrity in every thought. I forge wisdom in every action. I expand my heart with compassion. I am ready. I trust in divine timing. When you see that I am worthy, please fill me. I vow to be a channel for your blessings to flow into the world. Live with this prayer. Let it shape your choices. You no longer need to seek prosperity. Let prosperity find you. Carry this final affirmation as the North Star for your journey ahead. I am not the one who seeks the treasure. I am the vessel being created to hold it. I am ready. Chapter 9. The Dance of the Tides. Harmonizing with the rhythms of expansion and contraction in prosperity. In the seaside village where I once lived, there was a young man named Kyle. Kyle was the strongest and most industrious man in the village. He held an ironclad belief that effort was everything. He would look at the older fishermen resting as the tides changed, or when a certain fishing season had passed, and silently scoff at their laziness. He was determined to work harder than anyone else. Kyle would row out to sea when the tide was flowing against him, straining his body against the ocean's might. He cast his nets at times when the fish were known to be in the deep. He would return at midnight, exhausted, his limbs aching, his nets torn from snagging on rocks, and his boat nearly empty. Meanwhile, the old fisherman would go out for just a few hours at precisely the right time when the tide was favorable and the schools of fish were moving, and return with their holds brimming. Kyle grew bitter. He blamed the sea for being unfair, for not acknowledging his extraordinary effort. One evening, one of the oldest fishermen, Silas, came and sat beside Kyle on the shore. He didn't lecture, he just sat in silence with him, gazing out at the ocean. After a long while, he said, "Boy, you are trying to command the ocean, but the ocean doesn't take commands from anyone. It has its own breath. It inhales and it exhales. The wise man does not fight that breath. He learns to glide upon it." Those simple words awakened Kyle. He realized the old fishermen weren't lazy, they were wise. They didn't work less. They worked in greater harmony. They understood that effort applied at the wrong time only brings exhaustion. Kyle's lesson with the sea is one of the most fundamental truths about wealth. Prosperity comes from harmony, not from struggle. We are raised to glorify hard work, to fight for our success. But the universe is not a battlefield to be conquered. It is a dance to be joined. Sustainable prosperity is not born from straining to swim against the current, but from skillfully aligning your actions with the natural rhythms of energy. There is a time for action, for reaching out for expansion, that is the rising tide. And there is a time for rest, for planning, for cultivating inner strength, that is the receding tide. Understanding and honoring this cosmic dance is the key to achieving maximum results with peace and serenity. Ignorance of this dance leads to harmful judgment. We rejoice when the tide is high and despair when the tide is low. We call them success and failure, but the universe doesn't judge. Every phase in the cycle has a sacred purpose. Consider two gardeners. The first one in winter was always anxious. She looked at her empty, cold patch of land and believed it was a failure. She tried to cover it, to build fires, to warm the soil, hoping to force plants to sprout out of season. She saw winter as an enemy. By the time spring arrived, she was already exhausted from worrying and fighting, and she planted her seeds in a rush. The second gardener had a different attitude. She honored winter. She knew it was a time for the earth to rest. She spent that time sharpening her tools, studying seed catalogs, and planning her garden's design. She trusted that beneath the frosty surface, life was silently gathering energy, preparing for an explosion. The phase of contraction or scarcity was not a punishment. It was a sacred and necessary time for rest, regeneration, and the planting of invisible seeds for the future. When spring arrived, she was ready, full of energy, and acted with clear intention. As a result, her garden was always abundant and vibrant. Your financial life is the same. The periods when cash flow slows are not failures. They are your winter. They are the universe's invitation for you to turn inward, to learn, to plan, to heal, and to sharpen your inner tools. The distilled universal law. How do we know when it's winter or spring in our own lives? The answer isn't on a wall calendar, but in our inner sensitivity. Develop sensitivity to your inner rhythm through observation. To dance with the universe, you must first learn to hear the music playing from your own soul. Through the conscious daily observation of your own energy levels and the opportunities coming your way, you will gradually cultivate an innate sensitivity. It's like a sailor who can feel the shift in the wind. This sensitivity helps you know when to hoist the sails and move forward, and when to lower them to rest and wait. This practice builds trust in the process, helping you understand that even in the quietest phases, invisible germination is still happening powerfully underground. Transformational practice. Becoming an astronomer of your inner cosmos. This exercise is designed to help you develop a sensitivity to your own seasons and energy cycles instead of imposing a rigid schedule on your life. Step 1. Keep an energy rhythm journal. For 1 week, take 5 minutes at the end of each day to write in your journal. Create 3 simple entries. My energy. On a scale of 1 to 10, what was my energy like today? Did I feel like reaching out, creating, and taking action, expansion? Or did I feel like being quiet, reflecting, and turning inward? Contraction, flow from the universe. Did opportunities, synchronicities, and open doors appear easily? Or did things feel blocked, requiring great effort for small results? The current season. Based on the 2 points above, what season did today feel like? Winter, rest, planning; spring, new beginnings, planting seeds; summer, strong action, growth; or autumn, harvest, completion. Step 2. Honor the rhythm. Don't fight it. Based on your observations, commit to one small action that aligns with your season instead of fighting against it. If you are in winter contraction, don't force yourself to launch a big project. Give yourself permission to rest. Read a book. Tidy your workspace. Plan for the future. Trust that you are gathering energy. If you are in summer expansion, this is the time to act. Make that phone call. Start that project. Ride this wave of energy with confidence. Step 3. Build trust in the process. The goal of this practice is not to guess the right season every day. The goal is to build a trusting relationship with your inner rhythm. By observing and honoring these cycles, you are sending a message to the universe that you are ready to cooperate. Gradually, you will develop a deep trust that even in the quietest winter, a prosperous spring is always being prepared in silence. Carry this affirmation to anchor your new awareness. I do not fight the current. I am a part of the current. I am wise in my stillness and powerful in my action. I dance with the rhythm of the universe. Chapter 10. Becoming the melody. Living in the frequency of abundance. When I was young, I was captivated by the story of the primordial echo, a cosmic symphony that, according to ancient belief, would reveal all secrets to anyone who could hear it. I constructed a special device, a horn made of brass and crystal, to amplify the most subtle of sounds. I carried it to the quietest places, snow-capped mountaintops, the depths of silent caves. I eliminated all external noise, but all I ever heard through my device was a chaotic hum, a frustrating static. The harder I tried, the more I focused, the louder the static became. I blamed the device, the weather, even the stars. One desperate night I threw the brass horn to the ground. It shattered. And so did I. I sat there in the complete silence of failure, no longer seeking, no longer striving. I just breathed. And then in that moment of absolute surrender, something miraculous happened. I heard it. Not with my ears, but with my entire being. A single, clear, perfect note resonating from deep within me. I began to cry as I realized the truth. The static wasn't coming from the outside. It was coming from my own tension, my own desperate striving. I had been trying to find the music, not knowing that the frantic search itself was the noise that drowned everything out. My journey with the primordial echo is your journey with prosperity. Abundance is a frequency, and your own inner static is jamming the signal. Imagine abundance as an eternal song, a frequency of peace, enoughness, and effortless flow that is constantly broadcast throughout the universe. It is always there, right here, right now. If you don't hear it, don't feel it in your life, it is not because it doesn't exist. It is because your own inner state, the stress over making ends meet, the fear of the future, the desperate effort to make it happen, is creating a storm of electromagnetic static inside you, jamming the subtle signal of abundance. The first and most important step toward receiving is not to try harder, not to find a better job or a miraculous investment. The first step is to quiet the inner static. It is to turn down the volume of fear so that you can finally hear the melody of truth. This awareness will lead you to the threshold of a great transformation, a shift that marks your graduation on the journey to mastering wealth. This is the most important lesson where every piece of the puzzle finds its place. The ultimate shift from seeking to embodying. Throughout the previous chapters, we have learned to change our beliefs, heal our past, and balance our flow. All of those were necessary steps to clear the garden, mend the vessel, and polish the mirror. Now you are ready for the final step, not to look at the mirror to see abundance, but to become the abundance that is being reflected. Prosperity is not a goal to be conquered. It is not a number in a bank account or a house that you own. Those are the outer manifestations. True prosperity is a state of being in which you live and move and have your being. It is an inner sense of security independent of circumstance. It is a trust in the flow instead of a fear of scarcity. It is the frequency of fullness that you radiate from every cell. When you are abundance, everything you once sought, money, opportunities, beautiful relationships will be drawn to you automatically, not because you are chasing them, but because they recognize their own hometown frequency in you. You are no longer looking for the melody. You are the melody. The distilled universal law. Becoming the melody is not a one-time event. It is a way of life, a daily commitment. Alignment is a daily, energetic discipline. It is like a master violinist who must tune their instrument every single day before they play. No matter how precious the violin, if the strings are out of tune, it can only produce discordant sounds. Your soul is that instrument. This daily tuning process consists of three essential parts: set, maintain, and amplify. Through dedicated practice, this state of alignment will become your natural state, your breath, your very being. Transformational practice, tuning the instrument of your abundant soul. The purpose of this exercise is not to do something to get a result. Its purpose is to become a new person for whom prosperity is a natural state. Consider this your sacred daily ritual. Part 1. Set morning, 5 minutes. As soon as you wake, before you touch anything else, sit in stillness. Don't think about your to-do list. Focus on feeling. Choose a keynote for your day. It could be the feeling of gratitude, peace, or joy. Close your eyes and evoke that feeling as vividly as you can. Remember a moment when you felt truly grateful. Let that warm feeling spread from your heart throughout your entire body. You are now setting your frequency for the day. Part 2. Maintain during the day. 1 minute repeated often. Life will pull at you and worries will arise, throwing your instrument out of tune. Your job is to be mindfully aware. Create an awareness anchor, for example, every time you take a drink of water or every time you walk through a doorway. When the anchor is triggered, pause for 1 second, take one deep breath, and ask yourself, am I in my keynote frequency? If not, gently recall the feeling of gratitude, peace, joy you set in the morning. This is an act of micro-tuning that keeps you in alignment. Part 3. Amplify evening, 5 minutes. Before you go to sleep, sit down with your journal. Write down one thing, no matter how small, that happened during the day that made you feel your keynote. Example, I am grateful for that delicious meal. I felt at peace watching the sunset. Don't just write it down. Close your eyes and relive that feeling one more time. This act amplifies the signal, reinforces your frequency, and makes the next morning's tuning even easier. By practicing this energetic discipline, you are shifting from being a passive listener to being a master musician, until finally you realize that you and the music are one. Carry this affirmation with you, not as a goal, but as a statement of who you are. I do not seek abundance. I am its embodiment. My frequency is fullness. My nature is prosperity. Chapter 11. The Scent of Prosperity. Training your senses to discern energetic flow. When I was a young apprentice in an old apothecary, my master taught me a lesson I would never forget. One day he placed 2 sprigs of lavender before me. Outwardly, they looked identical, the same size, the same color, the same number of flowers. Tell me, he asked, which one carries more medicinal virtue? I used all my book knowledge. I counted the flower buds, I checked the dryness of the stems, I compared their color in the light. After a period of analysis, I chose one. I choose this one, I said confidently. My master smiled and shook his head. You are using your eyes to see, he said, but you have forgotten to use your soul to feel. Close your eyes. I did as he asked. He placed the first sprig in my hand. I felt nothing special. Then he placed the second sprig in my hand. Immediately a different sensation spread through me. It wasn't just the scent. It was a subtle vibration, a feeling of warmth, a sense of surging life, as if the plant were joyfully sharing its energy with me. My eyes were still closed, but I knew with certainty this was the better sprig. How can that be? I asked. He replied, they are both lavender, but the first was grown in a hurry, forced to bloom with chemicals to be sold quickly. The second was cultivated with love sung to each day and harvested under the moonlight. They share the same name, but they carry 2 different souls. One carries the energy of compulsion, the other carries the energy of life. That, my boy, is the true scent of prosperity. That lesson of the two lavender sprigs opened a new world to me. Prosperity has a unique vibrational signature. True abundance is not just an idea in your head. It is a real, palpable energy frequency, like a distinct scent that once you are familiar with it, you will never mistake. Just as a perfumer can distinguish hundreds of subtle notes in a single drop of perfume, you too can train your inner senses to recognize and differentiate the vibration of true prosperity, a vibration of life expansion and joy from all other forms of energy. This ability to discern is an ultimate form of protection, because in life you will constantly face difficult choices. Not everything that glitters has the same energy. This is a crucial lesson in discernment. Many opportunities offers investments or life paths may look equally promising and shiny on the surface, but carry completely opposing energetic signatures. Imagine you are a talented baker and two people want to invest in your shop. The first person promises to give you a great deal of money to turn your shop into the largest chain in the kingdom. His offer looks like a giant diamond, but when you sit with him, you feel a coldness, an invisible pressure. His energy is one of control, profit, and possession. This is the energy of compulsion of the first lavender sprig. The second person makes a more modest offer, but when you are with him, you feel a warmth, a shared excitement. He talks about creating the most delicious cakes together, about building a place that brings joy to the community. His energy is one of creation, collaboration, and life. Surface logic would tell you to choose the first man, but your inner compass would feel the difference. One path, though it glitters, would silently drain your life force. The other path would nourish and expand you in ways money could never buy. The ability to see through the outer shell, to feel the energetic truth beneath, is a skill that protects your assets, your peace, and your very soul. The distilled universal law. Fortunately, this ability to discern is not a mystical gift reserved for a select few. It is an inner muscle that can be trained. Train your energetic discernment through bodily sensation. Your body is an incredibly sensitive and honest instrument of energy. It does not lie. It reacts to the frequencies around you instantly. A feeling of expansion in your chest, a warmth, a lightness, a deep yes in your gut. That is your body saying yes to a compatible, life-affirming energy. Conversely, a tightening in your throat, a coldness, a feeling of heaviness or unease, that is your body saying no to an incompatible, draining energy. By consciously practicing listening to these signals, you are building an inner reference library, calibrating your intuition to make wise decisions based on energetic truth rather than surface-level illusion. Transformational practice, calibrating your inner energy compass. This exercise is designed to help you begin building your sensory library, starting with the simplest of things. Step 1. Prepare your reference objects. Find 2 small items in your home. An object of living energy, something from nature full of life force. Examples: a fresh leaf, a flower, a slice of lemon, a bean. An object of inert energy, something man-made without life force. Examples: a paperclip, an eraser, a piece of plastic. Step 2. Practice differentiated feeling. Sit down in a quiet place. Close your eyes and place the inert object in your non-dominant hand. Don't think, just feel. Pay attention to the sensations in your hand and spreading through your body. How does it feel? Cold, inert, heavy? Do you feel your energy contract just a little? Memorize this feeling. This is the feeling of neutral or contracting. Now put that object down. Take one deep breath. Then pick up the living object also in the same hand. Close your eyes and again just feel. Is there a difference? A subtle warmth, a light vibration, a feeling of freshness, of expansion, a sense of aliveness spreading. Memorize this feeling carefully. This is the feeling of compatible, life-giving energy. Step 3. Apply to daily life. Repeat step 2 a few times until you can clearly recognize the difference. You now have 2 basic reference points: expansion, life, and contraction inert. Starting today, when faced with a choice, whether it's as small as what to eat or as large as whether to accept an offer, pause for a second. Bring the image of that choice into your mind and immediately pay attention to your body's reaction. Does it give you the feeling of holding the fresh leaf or the feeling of holding the paperclip? You don't need to logically analyze it. You just need to read your inner compass. Trust the feeling of expansion. Be wary of the feeling of contraction. By practicing this, you are awakening an ancient wisdom that lies dormant within you, a wisdom that never lies. Carry this affirmation with you to reinforce your new sensitivity. My senses are not just for seeing and hearing the outer world. They are subtle instruments for feeling the inner energetic truth. I trust the wisdom of my body. Chapter 12. The Path of Union. When money becomes a prayer. I remember my years of study in an ancient monastery hidden away on a high mountain. There we were taught that the spiritual path demands renunciation, that to draw closer to God, we must escape the pull of the material world. I deeply believed that money was mundane, an obstacle to enlightenment. Then a harsh winter descended. The monastery roof began to leak, and our food stores ran low, not enough to share with the poor who came knocking at our gates each day. I prayed more fervently, meditated for longer hours, believing that the purity of my soul would bring forth a miracle. But the roof still leaked, and the hungry eyes remained. I felt a terrible inner conflict. My spiritual beliefs seemed to be at war with my own compassion. One day, the old abbot who had seen the torment within me led me out to the monastery garden. He pointed to the snow-covered ground and the weak winter sun. "Look," he said. "The sunlight is spirit, the sacred light from the heavens. The earth is matter, tangible abundance. You can have all the sunlight in the world, but without the earth it cannot sprout a single mustard seed. You can have the most fertile land, but without the sun it will remain forever cold and unable to sustain life. The sweetest fruit belongs neither to the sky nor to the earth. It is the result of the sacred union between them. You are trying to separate them while God has joined them in every breath, every branch, every blade of grass." His words struck me like a bolt of lightning. I realized my greatest mistake. I had been trying to fly with one wing. The lesson in the monastery garden that day is the core truth to which this entire journey has been leading us. Prosperity and enlightenment are two expressions of the same divine energy. The inner war between spirituality and materiality, between seeking awakening and pursuing abundance, is an artificial division and the source of all suffering. They are not two opposing paths. They are two sides of the same sacred coin. Trying to achieve enlightenment by denying abundance is as futile as trying to taste the sweetness of a mango by throwing away its flesh. The path of the Master, the path of wholeness, is the path of union. So how do we unite these two seemingly opposite forces? The key lies in a subtle yet powerful shift in perception. The perceptual shift from personal possession to sacred stewardship. Money, wealth, and material things are in themselves neither good nor bad. They are simply crystallized energy. The problem does not lie with them, but in our relationship to them. When wealth is viewed through the lens of the ego as my personal property, it can become a burden. It creates the fear of loss, the arrogance of having, and a sense of emptiness even in the midst of plenty. But when you change your role, when you are no longer the owner but become the steward or the channel for that energy, everything changes. Imagine you are the caretaker of a river. Your job is not to build a dam to keep all the water for yourself, turning it into a stagnant pond. Your job is to keep the riverbed clear so the water can flow through you powerfully, irrigating the fields downstream. When you see prosperity as divine energy and form flowing through your life to serve a greater purpose, it is no longer a burden. It becomes a powerful instrument of service, a current of blessing, the distilled universal law. With this new perception, we can take the final step to heal our inner division. turn every financial transaction into a spiritual practice. To live a unified life, we must bring sacred awareness to the very places we once considered the most mundane. Instead of seeing earning, spending, and saving as trivial actions, transform them into small rituals, opportunities to practice mindfulness of the flow of divine energy. In this way, the boundary between sacred and secular dissolves. Going to the market becomes a walking meditation. Paying a bill becomes an act of blessing. Earning money becomes an act of co-creation with the divine. Your entire life becomes a living prayer. Transformational practice, a ritual to sanctify your financial flow. This exercise does not require more of your time. It only requires more of your presence in the things you already do every day. Step 1. The prayer of receiving. The next time you receive any money, whether it's your salary, a payment from a client, or a small gift, pause for a second before you put it away. If possible, hold it in your hands. Take a deep breath and silently say, "I am grateful for the divine energy that has come to me in this form. I vow to be a wise and loving steward of this flow." Feel the energy of gratitude instead of just looking at the number. Step 2. The prayer of giving. The next time you spend money, whether buying an item, paying a bill, or making a donation, pause for a second before the money leaves your hand. Be conscious of your action and silently say, "I bless this flow of energy. As it leaves me, may it bring benefit and abundance to all it touches on its journey." Feel the energy of giving and blessing instead of a sense of loss or regret. Step 3. The practice of union in a transaction. This week, choose one ordinary financial transaction, e.g. grocery shopping, and commit to performing it with 100% presence. As you enter the store, be aware that you are entering a web of energetic exchange. As you select an item, be grateful for the farmer who grew it, the trucker who transported it. As you pay, practice the prayer of giving. As you receive your goods, practice the prayer of receiving the items. See the entire process as a sacred dance, not a boring chore. Notice how your feelings change. By practicing these simple rituals, you are weaving a new tapestry for your life, one with no seam between the spiritual and the material. Carry this affirmation as the compass for your unified path. In my world, nothing is mundane. Every action is a prayer. Every transaction is a blessing. Every coin is a manifestation of divine energy. Chapter 13, The Sculptor of the Invisible Realm, Using Visualization to Carve Reality. As a young painter, I was obsessed with creating a masterpiece, a painting that could hang in the Great Hall of the King. I spent hours each day daydreaming. I saw myself in fine clothes receiving the accolades of the royal family. I imagined the wealth and fame. But strangely, every time I stood before a blank canvas, I felt empty. My hand was stiff. My visualizations, as magnificent as they were, brought no creative energy whatsoever. They were just daydreams disconnected from reality. One day, an old master painter visited my studio. He looked at my empty canvases and asked, "What do you truly want to paint?" I described the glory the painting would bring me. He interrupted me, "That is what you want to get. I am asking what you want to create. Close your eyes. Don't see yourself in the palace. See yourself here in this studio. What colors do you see on your palette? Do you smell the linseed oil? What do you feel as your fingertips graze the surface of the canvas? Live in the process of its creation in your mind, not in the dream of its external result." His words awakened me. I realized I had been using my imagination to escape reality instead of using it to create reality. From that day on, I changed my practice. Every morning I would sit before the canvas and visualize in vivid detail. I saw my hand mixing a deep blue. I felt the roughness of the brush. I heard the sound of its bristles gliding across the fabric. I was no longer dreaming of glory. I was living in the joy of creation, right inside my own mind. And then naturally my hand began to move. The painting began to take shape not from struggle, but from a flow that was sourced from the invisible realm. That lesson in the studio taught me a foundational truth. Visualization is a spiritual technology for tuning your frequency. We often confuse visualization with daydreaming. Daydreaming is a passive stroll of the mind. Visualization is a deliberate creative act, a highly precise technology. Its purpose is not to create something out of thin air. Its purpose is to tune your energy field and consciousness, helping you to catch the frequency of a reality that already exists as a potential in the universe. Like a radio, you don't create the music. You simply need to tune to the right station to hear it. Visualization is the act of you consciously turning that dial. However, just turning the dial once isn't enough. You have to hold it at the right frequency. Consistency carves the energetic channel. The true power of visualization lies not in one intense session, but in steady and regular repetition. Every time you hold the vision of your prosperous reality in your mind, you are like a stream of water patiently and persistently carving a riverbed, an energetic channel in the invisible realm. At first you may see no change in the outer world. The great stone of reality may seem unmoved, but beneath the surface, in the subtle energetic realms, a pathway is being formed. Every single visualization is another drop of water deepening that channel. This is why unwavering faith, the ability to hold the vision even without physical evidence, is a prerequisite. You must believe in the channel being created before the river of prosperity can flow through it. The distilled universal law. When practicing this technology, there is one paramount rule that determines its success. Focus on the feeling of the end result and let go of the how. Your job as the sculptor is to clearly envision the final product and to authentically feel the joy of its completion. Completely release the worry or the attempt to control how you will find that specific block of marble or how it will be transported to your workshop. Think of the story of a sea captain who wanted to find a new, safer sea route. Every night he didn't visualize how to build a faster ship or how to fight off pirates. He visualized the end result, the scene of his ship arriving at the new port in celebration. He felt the warm sun, heard the welcoming bells, smelled the spices from the cargo being unloaded. He lived in the feeling of success and gratitude. And then one day, a strange seabird led him to a secret ocean current that no one knew existed, a perfect path he could never have charted on his own. The how appeared on its own when he held steadfast to the what. Your role is to place the order with the universe. The universe's role is to handle the logistics. Don't meddle in the universe's department. Transformational practice, building the theater of your mind. This exercise will guide you on how to use the technology of visualization with precision and power. Step 1. Choose a specific movie scene. Don't choose a vague goal like, I want to be rich. Choose a short, specific movie scene that represents the goal having been completed. Examples: the scene of you sitting in your new home with a cup of tea, looking out at your garden, feeling a deep sense of peace. Or the scene of you opening a letter and seeing that your final debt has been paid in full. Step 2. Stage the scene with the 5 senses. Take 10 minutes in a quiet place. Close your eyes and begin to build your scene. Sight. What do you see? The color of the paint on the walls, the light filtering through the window, the words on the paper. Sound. What do you hear? The birds chirping in the garden, the crackle of the fireplace, the sound of peaceful silence. Smell. What do you smell? The scent of new wood, the smell of earth after rain, the aroma of tea. Touch. What do you feel on your skin? The warmth of the teacup in your hands, the softness of the chair. Make it as real as you possibly can. Step 3. Live in the emotion. The most important step. Once the scene is clear, let the corresponding emotion well up inside you. Feel the relief, the joy, the gratitude, the freedom, the security, as if it is happening right now. Don't feel it as a future hope. Live in it in the present tense. Your heart beats a little faster. A smile forms on your lips. Hold this emotional state for as long as you can. This is when you are broadcasting the most powerful frequency. Step 4. Release and trust. After your session, take a deep breath and let the image gently dissolve. Your work is done. You have broadcast the signal. Now trust that the universe in its infinite wisdom has received the order and is arranging everything. Go about your day with a quiet confidence, as if you know the gift you ordered is on its way. Carry this affirmation with you to strengthen your faith in the creative process. My mind is a sacred workshop. Each consistent visualization is a chisel strike, patiently carving the masterpiece of my life from the universe's invisible marble. Chapter 14. The Goldsmith's Breath. Tuning your financial frequency from within. Years ago, while apprenticing in a scholar's library, I was tasked with managing the ledgers. I was a careful person and I loved numbers, but every time I opened the accounting book, an invisible tension would take hold of me. I was completely unaware of it, but whenever I looked at expenses or calculated figures, my chest would tighten, my shoulders would hunch, and my breath would become shallow, almost held. After a full day of working with numbers, I would go home feeling exhausted and plagued by headaches. My life at the time mirrored this, always in a state of just enough, with a constant simmering anxiety about money, even though the library's books were always balanced. One day, a master physician from a distant land came to visit the scholar. He walked past my desk and paused, but he wasn't looking at the numbers I was writing. He was looking at me. He observed me in silence for a moment and then said, "Young man, your numbers may be in order, but your body is not. Every time your mind touches the subject of money, you hold your breath. You are sending a signal of danger and scarcity to every cell in your body. How can abundance find its way to a body that has put itself in survival mode?" His words were a flash of lightning. For the first time in my life, I recognized the direct connection between my breath and my financial reality. I had been unconsciously signaling to the universe that money is a threat, and the universe was simply responding to that signal. My lesson that day is one of the deepest and most powerful secrets of all. Your breath is your financial frequency tuner. We often think of breathing as just an automatic biological function, but it is so much more. It is the most immediate and potent tool you possess to instantly change your vibrational state. Every style of breathing creates its own frequency. A shallow, constricted breath held high in the chest resonates perfectly with the frequency of anxiety, fear, and lack. Conversely, a deep, rhythmic breath that fills the belly will instantly align you with the frequency of peace, safety, and prosperity. You don't wait until you are wealthy to breathe peacefully. You must breathe peacefully so that wealth can find you. This connection goes even deeper. The breath is the bridge between intention and manifestation. In the last chapter, we spoke of using visualization to create a blueprint in the invisible realm. But how does that blueprint enter the physical world? It needs a bridge. Your breath is that bridge. When you hold an intention of abundance, but your breath is chaotic and constricted with worry, you are building a rickety, unstable bridge. The energy of your intention dissipates and cannot cross over completely. Conversely, when you hold an intention of abundance while simultaneously maintaining a conscious, deep, and rhythmic breath, you are building a sturdy bridge of light. That breath becomes the transport vehicle, allowing the energy of abundance to flow from the world of thought into your physical reality with ease and clarity, the distilled universal law. This brings us to an incredibly specific and powerful practice. Change your reality by consciously changing your breath. If you want to know what your unconscious financial program is, don't try to analyze your thoughts. Observe your breath when you think about bills, debt, or your financial goals. It will reveal everything. Is it held? Does it become shallow? That is your program running. To rewrite that program, the most effective method is to proactively change the breathing pattern. Practicing a deliberate style of breathing, especially right before and during financial activities, will instantly break the old pattern of contraction and fear. It establishes a new energetic state in your body, one of expansion, calm, and receptivity. You are commanding your nervous system, everything is okay. I am safe. I am abundant. And when your nervous system believes it, your entire reality will begin to rearrange itself to reflect that new belief. Transformational practice, the goldsmith's breath. This exercise will provide you with a simple yet extremely powerful breathing technique to reset your financial frequency. It is called the goldsmith's breath because it requires focus and calm and has the ability to transmute raw materials, fear, into pure gold, peace. Step 1. Diagnose your financial breath. Sit down in a quiet place. Close your eyes. Now think of the financial issue that is causing you the most stress. Don't go deep into the story, just name the issue in your mind. Immediately shift your attention to your breath. What is it doing? Is it in your chest or your belly? Is it being held? Is it fast or slow? Observe without judgment. This is your automatic reaction, your old program. Step 2. Learn the 4-4-6-2 breathing technique. This is a deliberate rhythm designed to reset your state. Practice it now. Inhale through your nose for a slow count of 4. Imagine you are breathing in a golden mist of safety and abundance. Hold your breath for a count of 4. Imagine that golden energy permeating every cell. Exhale through your mouth for a slow count of 6. As you exhale, imagine you are pushing out all worry, all constriction. Let the exhale make a soft, hissing shh sound. Pause in the emptiness for a count of 2. This is the quiet moment of trust before you begin a new cycle. Repeat this cycle 5 to 10 times and feel the shift in your body. Step 3. Apply the breath to daily life. Starting today, make a pact with yourself. Before you check your bank account, before you open a bill, before you are about to have an important conversation about money. Pause. Practice the goldsmith's breath for 1 minute, about 4 to 5 cycles. This simple act will break the automatic fear response. It creates a space of calm, allowing you to act from a place of clarity and power instead of panic. You are building a sturdy bridge before you decide to walk across it. By making your breath a conscious ally, you hold the most powerful tool for mastering your inner state, and through that, mastering your outer reality. Carry this affirmation with you as a reminder of the power that is always within you. My breath is the sacred bridge. I inhale peace and I exhale all fear. Every breath is building my reality of abundance. Chapter 15. The Architect of Flow, using sacred geometry to build a prosperous environment. I remember a wise old beekeeper who lived in a secluded valley. He had 2 beehives that looked identical placed side by side under an ancient tree. But there was a mystery. One hive was always teeming with life, its worker bees diligent and its honey sweet and plentiful. The other hive was always weak, its bees seemed listless and its honey production was minimal. The old man had tried everything from changing the queen bee to swapping the hive's locations, but the results remained the same. One day, a traveler, a man who had spent his life studying the patterns in nature, visited the old man. After hearing the story, the traveler didn't look at the bees. He took out a length of string and began measuring the dimensions of the 2 boxes. After a moment, he smiled and said to the beekeeper, "Nothing is random. The bee, in its instinctual wisdom, builds its wax cells in the shape of a perfect hexagon, one of nature's most sacred and efficient forms. By chance, this successful box of yours has dimensions that closely align with the golden ratio, another of the universe's laws of harmony. It resonates with the bee's energy. The other box does not. To the bees, one is a home, a temple. The other is just a wooden box. They can feel the difference that the naked eye cannot see." The lesson from the 2 beehives revealed to me that this world is governed not just by what we see, but by an invisible architecture that underlies everything. The universe has an energetic architecture based on sacred geometry and numbers. The flow of life, of energy, of prosperity is not random or chaotic. It moves along predefined pathways and patterns like water flowing in a riverbed. The foundation of this invisible architecture is sacred geometric patterns and mathematical ratios, laws you can find everywhere, from the spiral of a seashell and the arrangement of flower petals to the orbits of the planets. Just as music is created from the mathematical harmony of notes, the energy of abundance is attracted, amplified, and circulated most effectively through these specific structures and frequencies. Understanding this changes your role. You can actively create an environment that resonates with abundance. You are no longer a passive observer waiting for luck. You become an energetic architect. By deliberately applying the principles of sacred geometry, color, and arrangement to your living and working spaces, you are turning a neutral environment into a powerful magnet or resonator. A space that is harmoniously and intentionally arranged becomes like the lucky beehive. It is subtly tuned to attract, sustain, and amplify the frequencies of prosperity, peace, and creativity. The distilled universal law. True power is unleashed when we don't just apply one principle, but unify many of them together. Manifestation is amplified through the unification of sacred principles. Think of a master smith forging a legendary sword. He doesn't just use fire. He uses fire energy at the right temperature, the best steel matter, a precise hammer rhythm repetition, and quenches the blade in water purification at the perfect moment. Similarly, the most effective ritual for creating reality will unify different principles geometry. Using patterns like circles, triangles, and stars, cosmic timing, acting at energetically favorable times, like the new moon for beginnings or full moon for amplification. Symbolism, using objects that represent your specific intention. Natural energy, harnessing the power of elements like sunlight, water, and crystals. Sacred numerology, using the power of repetition according to meaningful numbers. 3, 7, 8, 9. This is a holistic approach, turning a simple intention into an energetic symphony, a powerful petition sent to the universe. Transformational practice, setting up a prosperity power spot. This exercise will guide you in creating a small space, a personal altar or power spot to attract and anchor the frequency of prosperity. Step 1. Choose your space and time. Find a small, clean, and quiet corner in your home. It could be a corner of a desk or a shelf. This will be your power spot. If possible, choose the time of a new moon to plant a new intention, or a full moon to amplify an existing one to set up this space. Step 2. Create the geometric foundation. Start with a simple geometric structure. You can place a round plate symbol of wholeness, infinity, or a square cloth symbol of stability, foundation. On top of that, you might arrange items in the shape of a triangle representing manifestation, intention, emotion, action. Step 3. Unify the elements and symbols. Place items in this space that resonate with your intention. Try to have a representation for each of the 4 elements. Earth, a crystal citrine for prosperity, rose quartz for harmony, a stone you love, or a small bowl of salt for purification. Water, a small bowl of clean water symbolizing smooth, clear flow. Air, a feather or a stick of incense. Sandalwood is often used to attract prosperity. Fire, a candle, green for growth, gold for wealth. Symbol of your intention. In the center, place an object that represents your goal. This could be a coin or bill, a check you've written to yourself for a specific amount, a picture of your dream home, or simply a piece of paper with your intention written clearly on it. Step 4. Activate with intention and numerology. When everything is ready, light the candle, sit before your power spot, take 8 deep breaths. The number The 8 in sacred numerology is associated with prosperity and infinite flow. With each exhale, silently or aloud, state your intention. For example, I am a magnet for prosperity and abundance. Spend a few minutes feeling the energy of this space being activated, becoming alive and resonant with your intention. Perform this small ritual daily or weekly to maintain its energy. In this way, you are not just wishing for prosperity. You are actively building a small temple, an energetic portal to welcome it into your life. Carry this affirmation with you as a declaration of your new role. I do not just live in the universe. I am an architect co-creating with the universe, arranging energy and building invisible bridges to invite prosperity, harmony, and beauty into my reality. Chapter 16. Opening the Gate of Prosperity, the art of aligning time, space, and action. I remember a young farmer named Elian. He had spent all his savings to buy a rare type of seed, one that was said to yield an unprecedentedly bountiful harvest. With the seeds in his hand, he felt that success was assured. Full of enthusiasm, he rushed out to his field and planted them. He worked day and night, watering, fertilizing, and carefully protecting each sprout. But strangely, the seeds didn't germinate. The plants that did grow were weak, stunted, and soon withered away. Elian was devastated. He had the best seeds, the right action, and had given his all in effort. So why had he failed? A wise old woman from the village walked by, looked at his field, and said, "Your seeds are precious, and your labor is honorable. But you are trying to sow life in the middle of an arid summer on a patch of land that turns its back to the morning sun. You have a golden key, but you are trying to use it in the wrong lock at the wrong time and in the wrong direction. Wait until the season turns to autumn when the rains soften the earth, and sow your seeds on the eastern edge of the field, the place that receives the first kiss of the sun each morning. Let the heavens and the earth work with you instead of against you." Elian learned an invaluable lesson that day. Good seeds and great effort are not enough. Time and space are also invisible seeds that determine the success of a harvest. Elian's lesson is our lesson. Manifestation is a lock that requires 3 keys: time, space, and action. We often focus only on what we do, our intention, our prayer, our physical action, but we forget that when and where are just as important. Imagine the prosperity you desire is locked behind a cosmic gate. To open it, you need 3 keys, and you must turn them in the lock. At the same time, the key of action, your clear intention ritual or specific physical act. The key of time, an auspicious cosmic moment when the energy currents support your intention, e.g. the phases of the moon. The key of space, a suitable energetic location or direction, e.g. the direction of the rising sun for new beginnings. A right action performed at a weak, energetic time or in an incompatible space is like turning the right key in an empty keyhole. The gate will not open. The truth is, universal energy has specific windows and currents. The universe is not a static, uniform field of energy. It is like a great ocean with powerful currents and great waves that appear in cycles. The energy of prosperity, of new beginnings, of healing also flows more strongly through certain currents like geographical directions and within certain windows of time like astronomical cycles. The masters of abundance in every ancient culture understood this. They did not try to create energy from nothing. They learned to recognize and act within these already powerful flows and moments. They were like master surfers who do not create the wave, but patiently wait, recognize the great wave approaching, and then use all their skill to ride its crest, traveling much farther than they ever could by swimming alone. The distilled universal law. This leads us to an ultimate principle of conscious creation. The effectiveness of any practice is amplified by alignment. The power of any ritual or spiritual practice you have learned. Prayer visualization, setting up a power spot, can be multiplied many times over by consciously aligning it with the elements of time and space. When your right action is performed at the right time and in the right direction, you are no longer acting alone. You are harnessing the power of cosmic forces, borrowing the strength of the moon, the sun, and the earth to merge with your intention. The result you create will far exceed your individual effort. This is the art of working intelligently with the universe instead of just working hard by yourself. Transformational practice. The 3-key ritual. This exercise will guide you in performing a simple yet powerful ritual to plant a financial intention using all 3 keys simultaneously. Step 1. Prepare the action key. Clearly define a financial goal you wish to manifest. Write it down on a small piece of paper in the form of a present tense affirmation, as if it has already happened. Example: I am so grateful that a new income stream of specific amount per month is now flowing into my life with ease and joy. This piece of paper is your key of action. Step 2. Choose the time key. Look at a lunar calendar. The 2 most powerful windows of time for this ritual are the new moon, the best time to plant the seed of a new intention, a new project, a new stream of income. Its energy is that of beginnings. The full moon, the best time to amplify an existing intention to harvest results or to express gratitude. Its energy is that of culmination and peak power. Choose the upcoming new or full moon to perform your ritual. Step 3. Choose the space key. The most powerful energetic direction for new beginnings, growth, and prosperity is east, the direction of the rising sun. The most ideal time of day to perform the ritual is at sunrise, as the first rays of light appear. Step 4. Perform the ritual, turning the 3 keys in the lock. At the dawn of your chosen new or full moon day, find a place where you can stand or sit facing east. Hold the paper with your intention key of action in your hands. As the first rays of the sun emerge, connecting with the keys of time and space, read your intention aloud 3 times with clarity and sincerity. After reading, close your eyes. Take 9 deep breaths. The number 9 symbolizes completion and wisdom. With each breath, feel the energy of the new day, the power of the lunar phase, and your intention merging and amplifying one another. Visualize your goal as complete, being bathed in the golden light of the rising sun. Feel a deep sense of joy and gratitude. To conclude, you can safely burn the paper, sending your intention to the universe via the element of fire, or take it back and place it on the power spot you set up in the previous chapter. You have just completed a powerful act of creation, unifying your personal power with the power of the cosmos. Carry this affirmation with you as a reminder of your new way of working. I do not act alone. I am a partner with the universe. I align my actions with the rhythms of time and space to co-create extraordinary results. Chapter 17. The music of presence, turning ritual into a gateway for transformation. As a young monk, I was chosen to participate in a crucial rain ceremony. Our region had been suffering from a prolonged drought, and everyone's hopes were pinned on this ancient ritual. I spent weeks memorizing every detail, the precise placement of the 12 turquoise stones, every word of the ancient chant, the method for lighting the sacred fire with a juniper branch. On the day of the ceremony, I performed everything perfectly. My movements were precise, my chanting flawless. I was a perfect ritual machine, but as I performed the rites, my mind was elsewhere. I worried if I was doing it correctly. I hoped it would rain to prove my abilities. I thought about the recognition I would receive. I completed all the steps, but the sky remained cruelly blue. The monastery's elder, a man with eyes as still as a lake, came to my side. He did not criticize my technique. He simply said, "You recited the words of the song, but I did not hear the music of your soul. You arranged the vessel perfectly, but you forgot to pour the water into it." Then he began the ritual himself. His movements were perhaps not as precise as mine, his chanting a bit shaky with age. But there was a difference. When he touched the stones, he truly felt a connection to Mother Earth. When he uttered the prayers, he truly felt the thirst of the parched land. He did not perform a ritual. He became the ritual. And as he finished, a cool wind began to blow, and on the horizon dark clouds began to gather. That day I learned that the power does not lie in the steps, but in the presence of the one performing them. My lesson during the rain ceremony is the most fundamental truth of all spiritual practice. Ritual is the vessel, but your presence is the power. The steps, the items, incense, candles, crystals, symbols are all empty vessels. They are tools, structures. But the real power to create change, to turn intention into reality, does not lie in those external forms. The power lies in the music you pour into the vessel, your total presence in each moment, your pure intention, untainted by doubt, and the authentic, intense emotion you infuse into the rite. Lacking these elements, even the most beautiful ritual is just a soulless mechanical act. So why are rituals important if the real power is internal? Why don't we just sit and be present? Because ritual bypasses the logical mind to communicate with the soul. When your willpower and rational efforts fail, I must try harder to make more money. A ritual can succeed. This is because a ritual does not argue with the logical mind. The logical mind is always full of resistance, doubt, and limitations. That's impossible. I'm not worthy. Ritual takes a different path. It uses the universal language of symbols, the senses, and ceremonial action to communicate directly with the deeper parts of you, your subconscious and your soul. When you light a candle, you are not just creating light. You are telling your soul, I am calling the light of truth into this space. When you arrange stones in a geometric pattern, you are telling your subconscious, I am creating order and harmony. This is a sophisticated spiritual technology for reprogramming the deepest patterns of prosperity without having to convince your logical brain. The distilled universal law. This leads us to the true purpose of performing a ritual. Ritual is a tool to restore inner harmony. When your external efforts bring only exhaustion and failure, it is a sign that your inner world has lost its harmony. Return to ritual. Its primary purpose is not to directly affect the weather or your bank account. Its primary purpose is to restore order, peace, and harmony to your inner world. A ritual performed with total presence transforms your energy from a state of anxious striving to one of aligned trust. It takes you from the frequency of I need to have to the frequency of I already am. And when your inner world has been harmoniously rearranged, your outer world, like a faithful mirror, has no choice but to reflect that order and abundance back to you. Transformational practice, the 5-second ritual of presence. The goal of this exercise is not to add more complex rituals to your life, but to bring the power of ritual presence into the life you already have. Step 1. Choose a daily trigger. Choose a very ordinary action that you usually perform on autopilot. This will be the trigger for your ritual. Examples: picking up your morning coffee teacup, opening the door to your home or car, sitting down at your desk, or touching your computer mouse for the first time in the day. Step 2. Practice the 5-second ritual. The next time you perform that trigger action, pause for exactly 5 seconds. In those 5 short seconds, perform a micro-ritual of presence. Seconds 1-2, take 1 deep breath in and a slow breath out. Feel the air enter and leave your body. Second 3, bring your full awareness to the action. If you're holding a teacup, feel its warmth, the smoothness of the ceramic. If you're holding a key, feel the coolness of the metal. Second 4, set a silent intention. For example, with the teacup, may this energy bring me peace. With opening the office door, I am stepping into a space of prosperity and service. Second 5, continue the action, but now with full presence and intention. Step 3, expand the practice with your chosen trigger for 1 week. Notice how this 5-second island of presence changes the quality of your day. Once you are accustomed to it, begin applying this 5-second ritual to your financial actions before you swipe your card, before you sign a check, before you click the pay button online. In this way, you are transforming soulless mechanical actions into sacred acts of consciousness, pouring the music of your soul into the vessels of everyday life. Carry this affirmation with you to remind you of your true power. Form is just the vessel, intention is the water, but my presence is the miracle that turns water into sacred wine. Chapter 18. The Alchemist's Fire, Transmuting Emotion into the Gold of Reality. In a great city there lived a renowned perfumer. His technique was legendary, and his formulas were chemically perfect. The queen commanded him to create a unique perfume for an upcoming ceremony. Under immense pressure, he worked day and night, precisely measuring every drop of essential oil, adhering to the formula with absolute discipline. The final product was technically a masterpiece, but when he presented it to the queen, she took one sniff and said, "It has a scent, but it has no soul." The perfumer's heart was broken. He had a perfect intention and had taken precise action, so why had he failed? He returned to his hometown and walked through the old garden of his late grandmother. He suddenly recalled an image of her, a woman who knew nothing of chemical formulas, distilling rose petals. She didn't do it to sell. She did it out of pure joy. She sang to the flowers as she cared for them, and her smile seemed to dissolve into every drop of rosewater. In that instant, he understood. His masterpiece was missing the most critical ingredient, a genuine emotion. He had created it in a state of anxiety and fear of failure. He returned to the city and started over. This time, as he mixed the ingredients, he didn't focus on the formula. He focused on evoking in his own heart the feeling of pure love and creative joy he had seen in his grandmother. He poured that very emotion into every drop of the perfume. The second bottle, though it had the same ingredients, carried a completely different energy. When the queen smelled it, she said nothing but tears rolled down her cheeks. She didn't just smell a fragrance. She felt the love contained within it. The perfumer's story reveals the secret of all true alchemists. Emotion is the catalyst in the alchemy of manifestation. Your intentions, thoughts, and actions are merely the raw ingredients, the base metals. It is your emotional state that is the sacred catalyst, the secret fire with the power to transmute those intentions into the gold of reality. An idea, no matter how perfect a plan, no matter how detailed, will forever remain inert without the energy of a corresponding emotion to propel it and make it live. Gratitude, joy, trust, love, these are the necessary flames. Emotion is the bridge that connects the world of thought to the world of matter. The energy of this fire doesn't just exist in the moment of creation, it is preserved. Emotional energy is infused into everything you create. Every product, service, email you send, or meal you cook is marinated in your emotional energy at the moment of its creation. This is an invisible but incredibly powerful imprint. Clients, partners, and the universe itself can feel it on a deep level. A cake baked in a state of resentment and anger will carry a heavy energy. Another cake baked with joy and gratitude will carry the energy of nourishment. A contract drafted in the fear of lack will subconsciously create a field that repels cooperation. Conversely, a proposal made with excitement and a belief in its value will become irresistibly attractive. The issue is not just what you do, but who you are being while you do it. The distilled universal law. This means that to master your outer financial world, you must first master your inner emotional world. Financial mastery is the practice of disciplined emotional transmutation. This is not about ignoring or suppressing negative emotions. It is alchemy, and it requires a clear two-step process. Release. You cannot build a new house on a foundation full of rubble. You must first clear the ground. Allow yourself to consciously experience and release the energy of limiting suppressed emotions like fear, anxiety, and anger. Cultivate. After creating a clean, empty space, deliberately plant and nurture the high-frequency emotional states of prosperity, gratitude, worthiness, joy, and trust. This practice of purifying the old and filling the space with the new is the core practice for maintaining a high and clear financial frequency. Transformational practice. The emotional crucible. This exercise will guide you through the two-step alchemical process of transmuting your emotional energy. Step 1. The practice of releasing energy. 5 minutes. Find a quiet place. Close your eyes and ask yourself, right now, what negative emotion about money is present in me? Perhaps it is anxiety, fear, or a sense of lack. Don't resist it. Invite it to be present. Where does that feeling live in your body? A lump in your throat, a tightness in your stomach. Place your hand on that spot. Breathe deeply and say silently, I see you, anxiety. I give you permission to be here right now. As you continue to breathe, imagine with each exhale that the blocked energy is softening, melting, and leaving your body like a gray smoke. Do this until you feel a sense of relief, no matter how small. Step 2. The practice of cultivating and anchoring. 5 minutes. Once you feel lighter, fill that empty space with a high-frequency emotion. The most powerful and accessible emotion is gratitude. Think of one thing in your life for which you are truly, deeply grateful. It does not need to be related to money. It could be your pet, a friend, the sunlight, or a beautiful memory. Don't just think about it. Let the feeling of gratitude swell up in your heart. Feel its warmth, its vibration. Let it fill your entire body. While you are immersed in that feeling of gratitude, create a physical anchor. Gently press the tip of your thumb and your middle finger together. Hold it for a few seconds. This action will create a neurological link between the feeling of gratitude and that physical gesture. Step 3. Using the anchor in daily life. During your day, whenever you feel financial stress returning, immediately press your thumb and middle finger together. This anchor will help trigger the emotional memory of gratitude instantly, interrupting the old fear pattern and helping you quickly retune your frequency. You are learning to become a master alchemist, one who has the ability to turn fear into trust and intention into pure gold. Carry this affirmation with you as a reminder of the fire you carry within. My emotion is the sacred catalyst. I release what no longer serves, and I cultivate gratitude as the fire to forge my intentions into a golden reality. Chapter 19. The Dream Interpreter, listening to messages of prosperity from the unconscious realm. I once knew of a prime minister, a man with the sharpest and most logical mind in the kingdom, when an economic crisis erupted because the main trade route was blocked. He worked day and night. He spread out enormous maps, calculated every option, analyzed every report. He devised dozens of complex strategies, but every path seemed to lead to a dead end. His intellect, once the pride of the kingdom, had now become a prison of stagnation. After weeks of exhaustion, one night the prime minister surrendered. He pushed all the scrolls and maps aside, looked up at the ceiling and whispered, I have used all my wisdom. Now I surrender. That night he had a strange dream. He didn't see maps or numbers. He saw himself observing a spiderweb glistening with morning dew. A main thread had been broken, but the spider didn't try to respan that long broken thread. Instead, it patiently created a new, shorter connection between two existing strong points on the web. The prime minister awoke with a jolt. The dream's message was as clear as day. Instead of trying to reopen the long and dangerous blocked trade route, why not create a new, shorter route connecting the two most prosperous production cities within the kingdom? It was a solution that his logical brain, focused solely on the external problem, had completely overlooked. He followed the dream's guidance, and the kingdom's economy was revived. He had learned that the greatest answers come not when the mind strives the hardest, but when it is most willing to let go. The Prime Minister's story pulls back the curtain on one of our most powerful allies. The dream realm is a direct gateway to prosperity wisdom. When your logical, analytical, and judgmental mind drifts off to sleep, a sacred gateway opens. The dream realm is not a place of meaningless, imaginary images. It is a space of direct communication where the barriers of doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs temporarily dissolve. This is the transmission channel through which the infinite financial wisdom of the universe can flow to you unimpeded, providing solutions, ideas, and truths that are far beyond the reach of ordinary thinking. But for that gateway to open, there is one prerequisite. The surrender of the intellect is the condition for revelation to appear. The greatest solutions, the most creative breakthroughs, usually come not from intense analytical effort, but from a moment of complete surrender. When you have tried every method, calculated every path, and reached the limits of your reason, when you can honestly say, "I don't know," you are creating a necessary vacuum in your consciousness. It is into that emptiness and acceptance that revelations and unexpected guidance can find you, often through a dream, a synchronicity, or a sudden flash of insight. Surrender is not weakness. It is the act of opening the door for a greater intelligence to enter, the distilled universal law. We do not have to wait for a moment of desperate surrender to receive guidance. We can proactively cooperate with the dream realm, actively incubate a dream to receive answers. Don't just passively wait for dreams, become a conscious conversationalist. By practicing dream incubation, setting a clear intention or question about your financial problem right before sleep, you are giving a specific task to your subconscious and your soul. You are saying to the universe, "I am listening, please show me." Be ready to receive guidance, but remember that the language of the soul is often symbolic and metaphorical, not a set of clear figures. A river in a dream might represent cash flow. A mountain could be a challenge, a key could be a solution. Transformational practice, a ritual for incubating a prosperity dream. This exercise will guide you on how to actively ask questions of the dream realm and listen for the answers. Step 1. Prepare your conduit and your question. Choose a small object to act as a conduit for your intention, a physical object to anchor your question. It could be a bill you're worried about, a coin, or a stone. On a small piece of paper, write a clear, open-ended question about a financial issue you are facing. Avoid yes/no questions. Instead ask, "Please show me the true nature of this obstacle. Please show me an inspired next step. What energy do I need to cultivate to resolve this issue?" Step 2. The bedtime ritual. Just before you are ready to sleep, sit up in bed. Place the piece of paper with your question under your pillow. Hold your conduit object in your hands. Read your question aloud 3 times, slowly and clearly. Then close your eyes and say the following invocation: "I invite the wisdom of the dream realm, the teachers and guides of the light. I ask this question with an open heart and a mind willing to listen. I surrender and I trust. Please bring me clarity in my dreams tonight." Place the conduit object on your bedside table and go to sleep with trust. Step 3. Record and contemplate. Keep a journal and pen right next to your bed. The very first thing you do upon waking, even while still groggy, is to reach for the journal and write down anything you can remember from your dream. Don't try to analyze it right away. Just record the images, the feelings, the colors, the strange events. Later in the day, when you have some quiet time, read over what you've written. Don't ask, "What did this dream mean?" Ask more evocative questions. What was the primary feeling of this dream? If this dream were a play, what message was it trying to convey? What image stands out the most? And what does it remind me of in my life? Be patient. The answer often comes not from logical analysis, but in a sudden aha moment while you are doing something else. Trust that when you ask with a sincere heart, the universe will always answer through its most subtle channels. Carry this affirmation with you as a reminder of the gateway that opens every night. When my intellect rests, my soul awakens. My dreams are the most honest messengers, bringing me the maps and keys I cannot see by day. Chapter 20. Declaring Your Birthright, Awakening from the Dream of Scarcity. Imagine a child born and raised in a vast room, yet living only in a small corner, sectioned off by thin curtains. That child believes the cramped corner is its entire world. It is taught that food and water are finite things that must be earned through hard work and are doled out little by little. It looks at the curtains and believes they are impenetrable walls. Day after day, the child lives in lack, even though just a few steps away on the other side of the curtains is a room flooded with light, with banquet tables laden with fragrant flowers and sweet fruits, all prepared and waiting. That room is not locked. Those curtains have no latches. There are no guards. All the child needs to do is reach out and pull a curtain aside. But it doesn't, because everyone it knows, and the child itself, believes that the world is only this small, cramped corner. Our spiritual and financial journey is just like that. We are that child. And now is the time to pull back the curtain. This is the final truth, which is also the first truth. Prosperity is your birthright, not a privilege. Take a deep breath and let that sentence sink into every cell of your being. Completely release the idea that you need permission from anyone outside of yourself, from society, from your family, from God, to live in abundance. Prosperity is not a special favor reserved for a lucky or chosen few. It is your sacred birthright as an expression of life in this universe. Like your right to breathe the air, you have unlimited access to the abundance of the cosmos. The gate to the garden of prosperity was never locked. The problem was never how to break the gate down. The problem was always when you would realize you had every right to simply decide to walk through it. This truth is built upon an even deeper foundation. Abundance is the natural state. Scarcity is a mental illusion. The world, with its structures and limiting beliefs, has taught you that lack, competition, and scarcity are the norm. The truth is the complete opposite. In an infinite universe with countless galaxies, innumerable stars, and an inexhaustible creative energy, abundance is the natural state. Limitation and scarcity exist only in a mind that has been programmed to believe in them. They are shadows, illusions created and maintained by a collective consciousness that has forgotten its true nature. Your job is not to fight the darkness. Your job is simply to turn on the light. You do not need to fight for wealth. You only need to awaken from the dream of scarcity. The distilled universal law. Once you have absorbed these two truths, one final barrier may appear: the feeling of unworthiness. Who am I to deserve such abundance? But this is the moment you must realize that declaring your worthiness is an act of service. Think of a pure stream carrying life-giving water from a high mountain. If that stream, feeling unworthy, were to block its own flow, would it be considered humble? No. It would be an act against nature, causing the stream itself to stagnate and the lands downstream to become barren. You are like that stream. When you refuse abundance out of a feeling of unworthiness, you are not just harming yourself. You are disrupting the sacred flow of the universe. You are blocking the very resources that could flow through you to help and uplift others. Conversely, when you fully declare your right to be prosperous and receive completely, you don't just elevate your own life. You become a more powerful channel, a larger river with more water to irrigate the lives around you. Therefore, accepting and living in your own abundance is the highest form of service. Transformational practice. A ceremony to declare your divine sovereignty. This is not an exercise of wishing. This is a ritual of declaration. This is the moment you pull back the curtain. Step 1. Draft the Proclamation of Sovereignty. Take a beautiful piece of paper and your best pen. Write out this proclamation with an energy of majesty and certainty. Write, I, your name, a sovereign and divine being of the universe, in this moment, do hereby recognize and fully accept the truth of my being. I declare that abundance is my natural state. Prosperity is my birthright, as is my right to breathe the air and to exist. I release all beliefs in scarcity, all feelings of unworthiness, and all vows of poverty, whether conscious or unconscious. They are but ghosts of a dream from which I am now awake. I accept my role as an open channel for the infinite prosperity of the universe. I commit to using these resources wisely, lovingly, and in service to the highest good of myself and of all. The gate has always been open, and now I am walking through. Step 2. Perform the declaration ceremony. Find a place where you feel most powerful, out in nature, before your altar, or simply standing in the middle of a room. Stand tall with your feet planted firmly on the ground, feeling its stability. Hold your proclamation in front of you. Read the proclamation aloud. Do not read it like a hope. Read it like a king or queen issuing a royal decree. Let your voice be clear, dignified, and full of power. Feel every word resonating and restructuring your entire energy field. Step 3. Seal it with an action. A proclamation must be sealed with an act of faith. Immediately following your ceremony, do one small thing that demonstrates you truly believe in your declaration. This act is not about extravagant spending. It is an act that comes from a consciousness of abundance instead of a consciousness of lack. Examples. Buy yourself a single beautiful flower instead of telling yourself, I shouldn't spend money on this. Give your server a slightly larger tip with a feeling of genuine generosity. Spend 15 minutes enjoying a cup of tea without guilt, affirming your right to have peace. This small action is your confirmation to the universe. I believe what I have just declared. I am living from that truth starting now. Carry this final affirmation not as something to strive for, but as a statement of who you are. I do not need to find prosperity. I only need to accept it. It is my right. It is my nature. It is me. Chapter 21. The Prosperity Vortex, from Maintaining Abundance to Infinite Amplification. I remember a potter named Lena who had achieved an admirable level of success. Her vases were loved by all, and she had a stable, comfortable income. But after a while, she began to feel an invisible stagnation. Her thinking had fallen into a linear rut. Each week, I need to make 20 vases to sell and maintain this life. She worked hard, created her 20 vases, sold them, and lived well. But her art was no longer evolving. Her joy was diminishing. Her success had inadvertently become a gilded cage. Then one year, the clay in her region became scarce and more expensive. Her linear model was threatened. Working harder to create more vases only left her more exhausted. Feeling stuck, she sought out an old gardener, a man famous for a garden that was always miraculously fruitful. She asked him for the secret to maintaining abundance. The gardener smiled and said, My dear girl, I do not maintain, I amplify. He pointed to an apple tree and said, Last harvest, I didn't just take the fruit to eat. I chose the most delicious apples, and from them I took the healthiest seeds. Instead of hoarding them all, I used a portion of those seeds to plant a new, larger patch of land. This year's harvest will not just equal last year's, it will be greater. You are trying to keep your pond full. I am trying to turn it into a lake and then a river. His words opened a new horizon for Lena. She understood that she had been playing a finite game in an infinite universe. The gardener's lesson is a profound shift in consciousness. The universe grows in spirals, not straight lines. We are taught to think linearly. Input A produces result B. But that is not how the universe operates at its highest level. The universe doesn't operate in predictable straight lines, but in exponentially expanding spirals. One seed does not create one seed. It creates a tree with hundreds of new seeds. True financial mastery lies not in maintaining a stable level of abundance. It lies in learning how to use the fruits of each season, each cycle, to plant the seeds for a larger prosperity spiral, a more bountiful harvest in the next season. How do we step into this accelerating spiral? The answer lies in a proactive and joyful practice. Prosperity acceleration is activated by the principle of reseeding blessings. This is a two-step dance with the universe, a dance that turns every act of receiving into an act of creation. Acknowledge the first step is to become deeply and fully conscious of every flow of abundance that enters your life. Whether it's a salary, a gift, a compliment, or a coin you find on the street, pause, feel it, and say a sincere thank you. This is the act of honoring the harvest you have just received. Circulate immediately after acknowledging it. Reseed a portion of that blessing back into the universe. This is not an obligation or a reluctant act of charity. This must be an act performed with joy, delight, and the conscious awareness that you are planting a seed for the future. When you practice this, you are saying to the universe, I am not a dead end. I am a transit station, an amplification point. Please send more through here. This action turns every harvest into the seed for an even greater harvest, creating a powerful, accelerating feedback loop of prosperity. The distilled universal law. This brings us to the pinnacle of the art of mastering financial energy. Mastery is not maintenance, but amplification. The ultimate goal of this journey is not to reach a state of abundance and then build a wall around it to protect it. That is still the mindset of fear and lack. True mastery is the art of continuous amplification. It is the practice of actively turning a stable stream of prosperity into a mighty waterfall by applying the universe's principles of acceleration. This is the shift from having abundance to becoming an amplification point for it, a vortex of prosperity that attracts and blesses everything it touches. Transformational practice. The practice of seeding the prosperity vortex. This exercise will help you practice the principle of reseeding blessings in a concrete and joyful way. Step 1. Create a blessing acknowledgement jar. Find a beautiful jar or box. Place it where you can easily see it. Every time any form of abundance flows into your life, money, an opportunity, a gift, a great idea, a heartfelt thank you, write it down on a small piece of paper. Before you put the paper in the jar, hold it in your hand, close your eyes, and truly feel a deep sense of gratitude for this specific blessing. This is the sacred act of acknowledging. Step 2. Practice reseeding with joy. Decide on a small percentage, perhaps 1%, 5%, or 10% of any unexpected or extra income you receive to become your blessing seeds. Your task is to circulate these seeds back into the universe in the most joyful way you can imagine. The amount is not as important as the energy of delight with which you give. A few ideas. Give a surprisingly generous tip to a server. Buy a book or a piece of art from a creator you admire. Anonymously pay for the coffee of the person behind you in line. Donate to a community project you believe in. Buy a beautiful plant to beautify a shared space. As you give this seed, say silently, I sow this seed with joy and trust in a tenfold harvest. Feel the excitement of participating in the creative flow of the universe. Step 3. Observe the vortex. As you regularly practice the 2 steps above, begin to observe. Notice how your relationship with receiving and giving changes. Notice the unexpected opportunities and support that begin to appear in your life. You are no longer a stagnant pond of maintenance. You are actively creating an energy vortex, a whirlwind of prosperity. Carry this affirmation with you as the compass for your new mindset of amplification. I do not just receive abundance, I am an amplification point for it. Every blessing I receive becomes the seed for a greater harvest, For all, Chapter 22, The Golden Thread of Timing, the Art of Acting in Rhythm with the Universe. I remember a young and talented shipbuilder. He had spent an entire year creating a boat that he believed was the masterpiece of his life. It was strong, balanced, and perfectly beautiful. When it was finished, his heart was filled with pride and an eagerness to prove his achievement to the world. The old mariners in the village advised him, "Wait for the spring high tide. The water will be high then, and the sea will be calm. The ocean itself will lift your boat gently." But he, in his youthful impatience, dismissed their advice as the superstitions of old men. He couldn't wait. He decided to launch the boat immediately in the middle of a neap tide when the water was low and the currents were unpredictable. The launch, which should have been a celebration, became an exhausting struggle. Because the water was low, he and the villagers had to strain to drag the boat over sandbars and rocks, scratching the hull he had so painstakingly polished. When they finally reached deeper water, the unusual currents made steering the vessel incredibly difficult. The boat made it to the open sea, but the price was the exhaustion of everyone involved and unnecessary damage to his masterpiece. Later, one of the old mariners came to him and said, "Your ship is magnificent, but you fought the sea instead of dancing with it. You had the right action, but you lacked the most important ingredient, the consensus of timing." The shipbuilder's story is a lesson about one of the most decisive factors in manifestation. Timing is an invisible yet decisive ingredient in manifestation. We often focus intensely on our actions, our plans, our strategies, our efforts, but we forget that timing is also an ingredient in the recipe, an invisible component with decisive power. An action, no matter how perfect, if performed too early or too late, loses its power and its resonance with the natural currents. Like a good seed planted in the wrong season, it cannot sprout. The secret of mastery lies not in acting more forcefully, but in recognizing the perfect moment to act. This recognition requires a profound shift in how we approach life. Shift from forced action to aligned action. Let go of trying to force outcomes according to your own timeline and will. Acting against the natural flow of the universe will only create resistance, exhaustion, and disappointing results. Instead, cultivate the art of patience and observation. Take a step back and learn to listen. Wait until you sense an invisible golden thread, an inner impulse, a feeling that now is the time, and then act with decisiveness and full presence. An aligned action, however small, will yield immense results with minimal effort because you are no longer acting alone. You are acting with the full force of the universe supporting you from behind. The distilled universal law. So how do we recognize that golden thread? This is where all of our lessons converge. Developing sensitivity to the golden thread is the ultimate skill. The highest skill of a master of abundance is not business strategy or investment technique. It is the ability to feel sacred timing. This is the development of a deep inner sensitivity to know when to wait in stillness and when to act with resolve. It is the combination of listening to your body. Chapter 11, Observing your breath. Chapter 14, Entrusting the messages from your dream realm. Chapter 19, Your final task on this journey is not to impose your rhythm on the universe, but to perfectly tune yourself to its rhythm so that your every action becomes graceful, timely, and extraordinarily effective. Transformational practice. Listening for the golden thread. This exercise is designed to help you train your sensitivity to sacred timing, shifting from mechanical action to inspired action. Step 1. Identify a pending action. Think of an important action that you feel you have to do or are being pressured to perform related to your finances or career. Examples: I have to find a new client. I must launch this product. I have to make this investment decision. Write it down. This is your pending action. Step 2. Practice active observation. For the next few days, commit to not forcing yourself to perform that action. Instead, your only job is to listen for the golden thread. Once a day, sit down in stillness, think about your pending action, and ask yourself these two questions about the feeling. Right now, when I think about doing this, does my body feel expansive or contracted? Is the feeling one of heavy pressure or of light inspiration? About the signs. In the last 24 hours, has the universe sent me a sign, a synchronicity, or a small opening related to this action? Simply note the answers without judgment. You are gathering data from the universe. Step 3. Recognize and act on the divine nudge. The golden thread usually doesn't appear like a thunderclap. It appears as a gentle but clear nudge from within. It is a sudden feeling of now that is clear and inspired, not anxious. This nudge is often accompanied by an external sign. You coincidentally hear a song with the message, "You need a friend," calls to talk about that very topic. You see a relevant advertisement. When and only when you feel that clear and inspired nudge, that is your time to act. But don't take a giant leap. Just take the first easy small step. If it's finding a new client, just send one email to the first person who comes to mind. If it's launching a product, just sketch out the first idea. This is aligned action. It is light, graceful, and supported by the entire universe. Carry this affirmation with you as a reminder of the art of patience and wisdom. I do not force reality. I listen and dance with sacred timing. Every action I take is perfectly aligned, bringing maximum results with absolute serenity. Chapter 23. The Sanctuary of Prosperity, turning your environment into an energetic ally. I remember a young writer, a talented man who was drowning in creative blocks and financial hardship. His study was a complete mess. Crumpled pages of unfinished manuscripts littered the floor, stacks of dusty books were forgotten in corners, and his desk was awash in old bills and half-drunk cups of tea. He felt his mind was as chaotic and suffocating as his room. He believed the mess was the result of his creative and financial stagnation. One day, his teacher came to visit. He didn't ask about the book the young man was writing. He just quietly looked around the room and then said, "I understand why the creative muse doesn't want to visit this place. She has no clean place to sit. You are waiting for inspiration to arrive before you clean up. But the truth is, you must clean up to invite inspiration. This room is not a symptom of your blockage. It is the very environment that is nurturing and amplifying that blockage." Those words were a wake-up call for the young man. He realized he was living in a reflection of his own chaos, and that mirror day after day was projecting that same image back onto him, trapping him in an inescapable loop. The writer's story reveals a fundamental law of energy. Your environment is both an energetic mirror and an amplifier. The physical space around you, your home, your office, even your car, is not just a place of shelter. It is a living entity constantly interacting with your energy field. It is a mirror that accurately reflects your inner state to the outer world. A chaotic mind will create a messy space. A mind that feels lack will tend to hoard unnecessary objects out of the fear that I might need this someday. But more importantly, it is also an amplifier. It continuously reinforces and magnifies the frequency it reflects back at you. When you live and work in a cluttered space, the energy of that chaos constantly impacts you, making it difficult to think clearly and feel at peace. Conversely, a space that is arranged in a tidy, clean, and intentional way will continuously amplify the energy of harmony, clarity, and prosperity into your life. Many people mistakenly believe that a prosperous space must be a luxurious one. But this is a damaging misconception. The sacred energy of a space transcends its material wealth. Imagine a lavishly decorated shop filled with expensive items, but the owner is always scowling and the atmosphere is tense. You might step inside out of curiosity, but you won't want to stay long. That place, though materially rich, is energetically poor. Now imagine a small, humble tea shop. Everything is simple, but the tables are always wiped clean. There is a healthy green plant on the windowsill, and the air is filled with the aroma of tea and the warmth of the owner's smile. You would want to sit there for hours. That place, though materially humble, is a sanctuary, rich in energy. The true power of a space comes from its invisible harmony, its cleanliness, its natural light, and the conscious intention invested in it, not from the price tag of its physical decorations. The distilled universal law. This grants you immense power. You can design your space to attract prosperity. You are not a victim of your surroundings. You are an energetic architect of your own space. By consciously choosing and arranging every object, color, and layout in your living and working environment, you are actively designing a space that resonates with the frequency of wealth, creativity, and peace. This is the art of turning your home or workplace into a powerful ally, a sacred sanctuary that supports and nurtures your path of manifesting abundance. Transformational practice, a ritual to cleanse and redesign your space's energy. This exercise will guide you on how to turn an area of your home into a high-energy point, a magnet for prosperity. Step 1. Release stagnant energy. Choose one small area to begin. Don't try to tackle the whole house. Start with your desk or your bedside table. Physical cleansing. Take everything out of that area. Wipe the surface clean with water mixed with a little salt or a few drops of lemon essential oil to purify the energy. As you wipe, hold the intention, I am wiping away all old energy, all stagnation and chaos. Conscious decluttering. Look at each item you removed. With each one, ask yourself, does this object bring me a feeling of joy and inspiration? Does it still serve the person I want to become? Be brave enough to get rid of what is broken, no longer used, or evokes negative memories. Thank them for their service and release them from your space. Step 2. Rearrange with a prosperous intention. You now have a clean and empty space. Before you put anything back, set a new intention for this area. For example, for your desk, this is a space of creativity, clear flow, and financial success. Only put back items that are truly necessary and align with your new intention. Arrange them in a tidy, harmonious, and beautiful way. Cherish the empty space because empty space is where new things have room to enter. Step 3. Anchor the new energy with life. This is the most important step to turn your space into a living entity. Place a living thing in the newly redesigned area. A small green plant symbolizes growth, vitality, and wealth. A fresh flower in a vase symbolizes beauty, blossoming, and joy. A bowl of clean water with a few flower petals symbolizes pure flow and circulation. This living element will act as a continuous energy generator, anchoring the high vibrational frequency you have set for your space. Commit to spending just 2 minutes each day, keeping your little sanctuary clean and tidy. This small act will reinforce your commitment to clarity and order both outside and within. Carry this affirmation with you as a declaration of your new creative role. My environment is a living body, a traveling companion. I create it with consciousness and it recreates me with harmony. My space is a sanctuary and I am the keeper of the temple of my own prosperity. Chapter 24. Cooperating with the Invisible Council. When a purpose of service sanctifies prosperity. Once there was an incredibly talented violinist. He lived in poverty, but his dreams were magnificent. He dreamed of great concert halls, of endless applause, and of a life of wealth. Every day he prayed and performed rituals, asking the universe to grant him the fame and fortune worthy of his talent. But his prayers seemed to be met with silence. He earned just enough to get by, and the door to the larger world seemed to remain firmly shut. He grew bitter, believing the universe had forgotten him. One evening, while walking through the city square, he saw his people, their faces etched with the sorrow and worry of a long, difficult winter. His heart ached. In that moment, he forgot all his personal ambitions. He only wanted to use his music to soothe their sorrow. He sat down in a corner, placed the violin on his shoulder, and began to play. He didn't play for applause. He played to serve. He poured all of his compassion into every note, turning them into a prayer for the peace of his people. And then a miracle happened. His violin sang with a power he had never known before. It wasn't just masterful technique, it was a current of healing energy. It was as if he were not playing alone, as if an entire invisible orchestra were harmonizing with him. People began to gather, they listened, and tears began to roll down their cheeks, not tears of sadness, but of comfort. From that day on, the violinist's life was completely transformed. A wealthy patron, moved by his music, didn't just sponsor him for a concert, but built a cathedral of music where all people could come to be healed. The violinist realized that the universe had not been deaf to his old prayers. The universe was simply waiting for him to ask a bigger question. The universe was waiting for his purpose to be big enough for it to invest in. The story of the violinist reveals to us a higher level of cooperation. There exists an invisible council that supports prosperity with a purpose. Beyond the world we see, there exist higher realms of guidance, a collective of ascended masters, beings of light, the guardians and distributors of the great energy currents of the universe, including the energy of prosperity. They do not respond to purely selfish desires, not because they are judgmental, but because those desires create a frequency that is too small and too dense. But they are always listening and are ready to powerfully amplify the efforts of souls who have realized that wealth is not an endpoint, but a tool, a resource to serve the evolution of consciousness and the good of humanity. So how do we receive this immense support? The key lies in a shift within our own hearts. The key that unlocks supreme support is the shift from personal to service. The most powerful assistance from the invisible realms is only unlocked when your intention undergoes a decisive change from "how can I get abundance for myself?" to "how can the abundance that flows through me serve something greater?" When your purpose becomes a force for good, you are no longer a single individual petitioning the universe. You become a partner in whom the universe is willing to invest and entrust its greatest resources. When you only want a cup of water for yourself, the universe will give you a cup of water. But when you want to become a channel to bring water to an entire desert, the universe will give you a river. The distilled universal law. This is the ultimate alchemical element, the final piece that transmutes all your efforts into pure gold. A noble purpose sanctifies all techniques. Every ritual, every visualization technique, every practice of breath and energy that you have learned will be transformed and its power amplified many times over when it is infused with a higher purpose. What were once formulas for personal manifestation will become sacred instruments for channeling universal energy. The candle you light is no longer just for you. It becomes a beacon. The affirmation you read doesn't just reprogram your mind. It becomes a creative decree with a vast sphere of influence. A purpose of service sanctifies your every action and causes the entire universe to conspire in your favor. Transformational practice. The dedication of purpose. This exercise will help you reframe your intention, turning a personal desire into a mission of service, thereby inviting the cooperation of the higher realms. Step 1. Acknowledge your personal desire. Think about the most important financial or material goal you are currently working toward. Acknowledge it honestly and without judgment. The desire for a better life for yourself is completely natural. Step 2. Expand the circle of influence. Now we will perform an alchemy on this intention. Ask yourself and write down the answers to the following questions. If I achieve this goal, who else besides me will benefit directly? How will the lives of my family/loved ones be better? If I have this abundance, how will it allow me to serve my community or the world on a higher level? What project could I support? What problem could I contribute to solving? How will my living a prosperous, joyful, and empowered life inspire those around me? Keep expanding the circle until you truly feel that your personal desire is just the seed for a great tree that will offer shade and fruit to many. Step 3. Rewrite the dedication. Now rewrite your original intention, but nest it within a context of service. You are not abandoning your desire, you are giving it a soul. Example, old intention. I want a beautiful house. New dedication. I call forth a beautiful and peaceful home into my life, that it may be a sanctuary that nurtures the souls of my family, a warm place for friends to gather and share joy, and living proof that anyone can create a prosperous life in harmony. Read your new dedication aloud. Feel the shift in its energy. It is no longer a demand, but a declaration of a mission. Step 4. The invitation for cooperation. To conclude, place a hand on your heart and say this invitation with all your sincerity. To the invisible council, the guardians of prosperity with a purpose. This is my purpose. I no longer ask for myself alone, but ask to be a partner in your greater plan. I ask to be a channel for your blessings to flow into the world. Please guide, protect, and amplify my efforts. I am ready to serve. Once you have made this shift, you are no longer a treasure hunter. You have become one to whom the universe entrusts the map. Carry this affirmation with you as a commitment to your new role. My purpose is greater than myself. Therefore, my resources are also greater than myself. I am a partner with the universe, and together we create great good. Chapter 25. The PowerPoint of the present, bringing prosperity from the future into the now. Once there was a young man who found an old map leading to a treasure hidden on a distant island. The map read, "The treasure will be revealed when the shadow of the highest peak touches the twin rocks at high noon." The young man became obsessed with that future moment. He sailed to the island, built a temporary hut, and began to wait. With each passing day, his mind was focused on one thing only, counting down to that fateful day. He lived in anticipation and anxiety. He paid no attention to the fruit-laden trees all around him. He didn't bother to cast a net in the clear, fish-filled waters. He ignored the leaks in the roof of his own hut. His body was on a paradise island, but his mind was living at a point in the future. He suffered from hunger and hardship, all while waiting for a wealth that was yet to come. Finally, the day arrived. He followed the mountain's shadow, found the correct spot, and dug. He found a small chest, but it was locked, and there was no key. In despair, he collapsed. And in that moment of surrender, for the first time, he truly saw the island. He saw the fruits, the cool stream, the sturdy trees. He realized he had been waiting for a chest while ignoring an entire treasure of life that was right there all along. And then his eyes fell upon a strangely shaped stone right next to the stream he had so long ignored. It was the key. The key had always been there in the present moment he had refused to live in. The story of the young man on the island is the story of us all. The power of manifestation exists only in the eternal now. We must transcend the illusion of linear time. The past is gone and is only a memory. The future has not yet arrived and is only a concept. Your creative power, your ability to change your reality, does not reside in those two places. It exists solely in this fragile yet powerful moment, the eternal now, where all possibilities, all versions of reality converge. To manifest prosperity, to find the key, you must be present at this single point of power. Ignorance of this truth creates one of the most subtle energetic traps. Projecting prosperity into the future will keep it forever in the future. When you constantly tell yourself, "I will be wealthy when I get that promotion. When I pay off my debt, I will feel free. When I have enough money, I will start living," what are you doing? You are creating an energetic equation in which one side is abundance and the other side is a point in the future. The universe in its absolute precision will honor this. It will always hold that abundance in the future for you. It creates a permanent distance between you and what you desire, keeping it hovering on the horizon, never allowing it to make landfall in your present moment. To make prosperity your reality, you must break that equation. You must stop waiting for it and start feeling, acting, and living in the consciousness of abundance right in this moment, regardless of your outer circumstances. The distilled universal law. This does not mean we ignore the future or abandon planning. Differentiate between preparing in the present and living in the future. This is a core distinction. Look at two builders working on the same bridge. The first builder, while working, has his mind at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. He worries if the bridge will be strong enough and daydreams about the praise he will receive. Because his mind is not in the present, his hand often slips. He makes incorrect measurements and his work is full of stress. The second builder also has a vision of the completed bridge, but he does not live there. He brings his full attention to the task at hand. When he planes a piece of wood, his entire world is that piece of wood. When he drives a nail, he is fully present with the hammer and the nail. He is preparing for the future by being excellent in the present. The first man's action is anxiety. The second man's action is creation. Perform the necessary actions for your future from a state of peace and presence instead of allowing your mind to completely abandon the present moment, the only place where your power truly exists. Transformational practice, anchoring your power in the present moment. This exercise is designed to help you train the muscle of presence, bringing your wandering mind back to its only point of power, the now. Step 1. Recognize the traveling mind. Throughout today, practice observing your own mind. Notice the times it has left the present. Are you in the shower but worrying about an upcoming meeting? Are you talking to your child but thinking about an email you have to answer? The moment you recognize this, don't judge yourself. Simply smile and say silently, my mind is traveling again. This simple act of recognition is the first step in calling it back home. Step 2. Practice the 3-breath return ritual. As soon as you realize your mind is wandering, perform this simple but powerful ritual to land back in the present. First breath, inhale deeply. As you exhale, bring your full attention to what you hear right now. The hum of a fan, distant conversation, the sound of silence. Second breath, inhale. As you exhale, bring your full attention to what you feel on your body. The sensation of your feet on the floor, the feeling of the air on your skin. Third breath, inhale. As you exhale, bring your full attention to the action your body is doing. The feeling of your fingers on a keyboard, the sensation of holding an object. After these 3 breaths, you have returned. Welcome back to your point of power. Step 3. Apply to financial actions. Now consciously apply this skill. Before you begin a task related to your finances, budgeting, planning, answering a client email, perform the 3-breath return ritual. Perform that task from a state of presence. Do it with your full attention. You are building your future one brick at a time, in the only moment you can, right now. Carry this affirmation with you as an anchor for your mind. The past is a ghost, the future an illusion. My power, my life, and my prosperity exist in only one place, in this eternal now. Chapter 26, The Homecoming. When you are the key. Let me tell you the story of a pilgrim who spent his entire life seeking the citadel of light, a fabled place said to hold eternal peace and abundance. This pilgrim had overcome every trial. He had learned to master his mind, heal his past dance with the rhythms of the universe, and perform every ritual with perfection. He was a master of all techniques. Finally, he arrived before the great gate of the citadel. The gate was made of pure gold, exquisitely carved, and radiated a gentle light. Confident in his journey, he knocked and presented his credentials. I am a sincere seeker. I have meditated for 10,000 hours. I have practiced the ancient rites. I have helped many people. I have passed every trial and am worthy to enter. But the gate remained silent. He tried every technique, every mantra, every powerful ritual he had ever learned. The gate did not move. In a moment of utter despair, having exhausted all effort and knowledge, the pilgrim collapsed. He let go. He was no longer a pilgrim, no longer a master of techniques, no longer a seeker. He stopped trying to become something. He simply was. And in that moment of stillness and complete presence, a message resounded in his heart, not in words, but as a staggering truth. We never close the door on ourselves. The pilgrim looked up into his own reflection on the golden gate. For the first time, he did not see a tired seeker standing on the outside. He saw a being of light. He suddenly understood. The gate does not open for those who seek the light. It opens only for those who are the light. He stood up not with the eagerness of one about to enter a desired place, but with the peace of one returning home. And as he stepped forward, the gate did not open. It dissolved into light and merged with him, because there never was a gate. The only barrier was his own perception of being outside. The pilgrim's story is the final lesson, which is also the first. The gate of prosperity opens to who you are, not to what you do. This is the ultimate truth. All the achievements, the knowledge, the rituals, and the external actions are tools to help you walk the path, but they cannot open the final gate. That gate does not respond to what you do. It responds to the very frequency of the being you have become. The universe does not care about your spiritual resume. It only senses the frequency of your being. As long as you see yourself as one who is seeking abundance, you will forever remain on the outside because that very identity affirms that you do not yet have it. So what is the final work? After all the techniques have been learned, what is the most important thing? The transformation of the I is the ultimate work. The final job is not to do more. The final job is to become a different person at the core level of identification. This is the inner transformation of identity. It is when you change your foundational sense of self from someone who is lacking and striving to prove their worth to someone who is inherently whole, complete, and naturally belongs to abundance. This is the true alchemy, not turning lead into gold, but realizing that you were never lead in the first place. You were always gold, just temporarily forgotten. The distilled universal law. When you have made this transformation, you will realize a magnificent truth. The journey to prosperity is a homecoming, not a conquest. The entire long road we have traveled with all its lessons and practices was not a campaign to conquer a foreign land called abundance. It was a journey home. All those techniques were merely tools to help you remove the heavy cloaks of limiting beliefs, of fear, of unworthiness that you had put on. When the last cloak is removed, you will find yourself standing in the place you never truly left. You will walk through the gate of prosperity, not as a weary victor, nor as a beggar granted a favor. You will walk through with the quiet, silent, and familiar peace of one returning to their own home after a long trip. Abundance is your natural state, the homeland of your soul. Transformational practice. The I already am practice. This final exercise is not a technique to achieve. It is a practice to remember. Step 1. Find the space of stillness. Find a quiet place. Sit down comfortably. Close your eyes. This is not a visualization to create a future. This is a meditation to return to the eternal present. Step 2. Let go of all identities. Inhale deeply. With each exhale, consciously release a label and identity you have carried. Breathe out and let go of the identity of a person who is struggling. Breathe out and let go of the identity of a person who is seeking. Breathe out and let go of the identity of a person who is trying so hard. Breathe out and let go of even the identity of a person who is practicing spirituality. Continue until you are left with only a simple sense of existence, a feeling that is simply, I am. Step 3. Abide in the state of already am. In this quiet space of I am, gently place the following truths into your awareness. Don't try to believe them. Simply listen to them as self-evident facts. I am already enough. I am already worthy. I am already home. Don't try to feel something extraordinary. Simply abide in these statements, in this truth, in this state of completion. Sit in it for 5 to 10 minutes. Living from this truth. In your daily life, when faced with a choice or a challenge, instead of asking, what must I do to get X, ask a new question. How would a person who is already whole and worthy act in this situation? And then act from that answer. This is the way of one who has returned home. Carry this final affirmation, not as a mantra, but as a declaration of who you truly are. The journey is complete. The search is over. I no longer knock, for I realize I was never outside. I am the home. I am the treasure. I am the peace. I already am prosperity. Chapter 27. The overflowing spring, when giving becomes an expression of abundance. I remember a woman who had a small apple orchard. After her first harvest, tradition required her to offer 1/10 of her apples at the village temple. She did so, but with a heavy heart. She carefully selected the smallest apples, and as she walked, she couldn't stop calculating the apples she had lost, worrying if the remainder would be enough for her family to get through the winter. Her act of giving, though correct in form, carried the energy of sacrifice and lack. The following year, something miraculous happened. Her trees were unusually laden with fruit. There were so many apples that they filled every basket and spilled out onto the ground. This time, as she looked upon her incredible abundance, she no longer felt the pressure to give a portion away. She felt an overwhelming urge of pure joy. She felt she had more than enough, so much that she couldn't possibly contain it all. With a delighted heart, she began to share. She didn't just bring apples to the temple. She gave them to her neighbors, to the village children, and even to travelers passing by. Each apple given was no longer a loss, but a song of gratitude, a celebration of her own richness. She had realized a profound truth. True generosity is not the act of giving away what you need, but the natural overflow of a soul that already feels full. The woman's enlightenment in the apple orchard is a core shift in consciousness. Generosity is a natural overflow, not a sacrifice. Completely release the notion that giving is a loss, a duty, or an act to buy blessings. True generosity is the inevitable spillover from a heart and a consciousness that feels abundant from deep within. It does not diminish you. It is simply the expression of an inner spring that is already infinite. When a spring is full, it naturally flows out and becomes a river. When a flower is in full bloom, it naturally releases its fragrance. When your soul truly feels its own abundance, you will naturally want to share. Giving from this frequency sends a powerful signal to the universe: I have more than enough. I am a source of abundance. This leads us to a law of energetic mechanics. Abundance is amplified by flow and extinguished by hoarding. Prosperity operates like a river, not a stagnant pond. Its energy is amplified, refreshed, and multiplied when it is circulated freely and joyfully. A freely flowing river brings life to a vast landscape. Conversely, trying to hoard or possess out of fear for the future is like building a dam to stop that river. The water in your pond might rise for a time, but it will become stagnant and lifeless. More importantly, that dam prevents new flow from coming downstream from the source. By trying to hold on, you have inadvertently cut off your own supply. To enrich yourself, you must first enrich the flow. Let it pass through you, the distilled universal law. So how do we practice this wisely? Cultivate intuitive generosity to become a channel. Turn giving into a spiritual practice of listening and yielding to the flow rather than a rigid, planned obligation. Think of a wise merchant. He doesn't just donate a large sum to an organization at the end of the year. People might see him spontaneously paying for a stranger's meal or suddenly investing in a young artist's crazy idea. His giving seems impromptu and guided by an invisible wisdom. That's because he doesn't give out of duty. He gives when he feels an intuitive nudge, a sense that this is where the flow needs to go. And this practice will train you to become a clear and joyful channel for the universe's abundance, allowing it to flow through you in miraculous and unexpected ways to bless the world. Transformational practice. The practice of intuitive flow. This exercise is designed to help you practice the art of giving in a joyful and guided way, turning you into an active partner with the universe. Step 1. Create your flow fund. Take out a small amount of cash, a figure that you feel completely comfortable and happy about giving away. Place it in a separate envelope or a special compartment in your wallet. From this moment on, this is no longer your money. This is the universe's flow fund, and you are simply its manager. Step 2. Set the intention and listen. Hold your flow fund in your hands. Close your eyes and set a clear intention. I am ready to be a channel for abundance. I ask the universe and my inner wisdom to guide this flow to where it can create the most unexpected joy and support. Then let go. Don't try to find a person or place to give to. Just live your life with an open heart and listening ears. Step 3. Act on the nudge with joy. Perhaps you are walking down the street and feel a strong urge to buy a loaf of bread for a homeless person. Perhaps you hear a friend mention a small difficulty and feel a clear nudge to help them anonymously. Perhaps you see a small crowdfunding project online and feel your heart resonate. When you feel this illogical heart-based nudge, act immediately without hesitation. Use your flow fund for this purpose. The most important part, as you give, do it with a smile, with a feeling of delight, as if you are playing a fun and exciting game with the universe. The energy of joy is what amplifies the signal. Step 4. Acknowledge and empty. After you have circulated the fund, take a moment to feel the joy of the flow. Then leave the envelope empty. Don't rush to refill it. Wait until another flow of abundance comes to you. When it does, joyfully tithe a new seed into your flow fund. This completes the cycle and starts a new vortex. In this way, you are not just giving away money. You are giving energy. You are creating joy, and you are declaring to the universe that you are a trustworthy channel, always ready for greater flows. Carry this affirmation with you as a reminder of the true nature of generosity. I give from fullness, not from lack. Every act of giving is an affirmation of my own infinite abundance. I am a river, not a pond. Chapter 28. The multidimensional treasure, seeing through the illusion of money. I remember the story of a king whose wealth of gold and silver was the stuff of legends. His vaults were overflowing with jewels, and his kingdom was a bustling center of commerce. His entire focus, from the moment he awoke until he went to sleep, was dedicated to how he could accumulate more gold. But in the midst of all that wealth, the king was the poorest of men. He was lonely, for he trusted no one. His health was failing from long nights spent worrying about protecting his assets. He no longer knew the joy of music or the beauty of a sunset. He was financially rich, but a beggar in every other aspect of life. Then one day, his beloved daughter, his only remaining joy, fell gravely ill. The most skilled royal physicians were helpless. In his desperation, the king proclaimed he would give half his kingdom to anyone who could cure the princess. An old herbalist woman who lived in the mountains came to the palace. She had no need for the king's gold. She asked only for permission to enter the royal gardens. She took a walk, gathered some simple leaves, brewed a pot of tea, and gave it to the princess to drink with a mother's tenderness. And then the princess recovered. The king, in his boundless happiness and gratitude, had a realization. The herbalist woman possessed a form of wealth, a knowledge of nature, a healing energy from the heart that all his gold and silver could never buy. He realized that in that moment, a twig from his garden was more precious than his entire treasury. His definition of wealth had completely shattered. The king's lesson is an enlightenment that we all must experience. True wealth is multidimensional, and it extends far beyond money. Widen your definition of prosperity. True prosperity is not a number in a bank account. It is a multidimensional experience, a diamond with countless facets. It manifests in infinite forms, abundant health, the energy to live and experience each day. Nurturing relationships. The love, connection, and support from family and friends. Deep joy, the ability to find delight in simple things. A clear purpose, the feeling that your life has meaning and is contributing to something larger. Inner peace, a quiet mind undisturbed by the storms outside. Wisdom and skills, the knowledge and abilities you have cultivated. Timely opportunities, the flow of synchronicity and good fortune. Money is just one of the many streams flowing from this infinite spring of abundance. It is important, but it is only one piece of the whole picture. When we forget this whole picture, we fall into a sacred paradox. Focusing solely on money will inadvertently repel it. When you obsessively focus on money, your energy often stems from a root of lack. I don't have enough. I need more. This focus creates an energetic contraction, a state of anxiety and striving. And this very frequency of contraction is what unintentionally blocks and repels the easy, natural financial flow you are seeking. To attract money effortlessly, you must do something that seems counterintuitive. Widen your vision beyond it. Recognize and cherish all the other forms of wealth that are already present in your life. When you feel wealthy in friendships, in health, in joy, your overall frequency will rise. You will shift from a state of lack to a state of fullness, and it is this state of fullness that is the most powerful magnet for attracting more prosperity in all areas, including money. The distilled universal law. This leads us to a foundational practice for activating the flow. Acknowledge your existing abundance to activate a greater flow. The key to unlocking a more abundant flow of prosperity lies in consciously acknowledging all the abundance that is already present in your life right now. Practice auditing your treasures in all their dimensions, both tangible and intangible. This very act of acknowledgement and gratitude will recalibrate your frequency to a state of fullness. It sends a clear message to the universe. I see and appreciate what you have already given me. I am a good steward. I am ready to receive more. Transformational practice. The multi-dimensional treasure inventory. This exercise is designed to train your mind to see the vast wealth you already possess, thereby changing your core frequency from lack to enough. Step 1. Prepare your inventory journal. Take your journal and dedicate a few pages to this. Create different categories with each one representing an aspect of wealth. Step 2. Take your inventory. Under each heading, write down at least 3 to 5 specific things you currently have that you are grateful for. Be as specific as possible. Wealth of health examples. The deep breath I am now taking. My legs that allow me to walk, the ability to taste the deliciousness of food. Wealth of relationships examples. A text message from a friend checking in, a hug from a loved one, my pet greeting me when I come home. Wealth of wisdom and skills examples. The ability to read and understand these words, a skill I learned from my job, the lesson learned from a past mistake. Wealth of beauty and joy examples. A beautiful piece of music I just heard, the color of the sky at sunset, the warmth of the sun on my skin. Wealth of opportunity and safety examples. The roof that shelters me, the safety to walk down the street, a new day to experience and learn. Step 3. Feel your holistic wealth. After you have completed your inventory, slowly read the entire list back to yourself. Don't just read the words. With each item you read, try to re-experience the feeling of gratitude and appreciation for it. Feel the vast, multidimensional wealth that is truly yours. Realize that your financial situation is just one small entry in the great ledger of your treasures. Sit in this feeling of fullness and completion for a few minutes. This feeling is the most powerful magnet you possess. Carry this affirmation with you as your new definition of wealth. I am a multidimensional millionaire. My wealth is measured in health, in love, in joy, and in peace. Money is simply one more stream that flows to one who is already so richly blessed. Chapter 29. The Steward of the Sacred Flow. When Wealth Serves Awakening. There is a story of a man who inherited a vast ancient forest. At first, he saw the forest as a colossal asset. He became obsessed with owning it. Every day he worried about poachers, about the risk of fire, about how to harvest the most timber. The forest, instead of being a gift, became an immense burden that robbed him of his peace and his sleep. One day, exhausted from anxiety, he sat down beneath a great ancient tree and fell asleep. In his dream, he met the spirit of the forest. The spirit said to him, "You do not own me any more than you own the clouds in the sky or the moonlight tonight. You are simply the one entrusted to care for me for one season of life. Be a steward, do not try to be a master. Joy is found not in possessing, but in nurturing and watching me grow." The man awoke with a profound enlightenment. He no longer saw the forest as something to be owned and exploited. He began to see himself as a steward, a guardian. He opened up trails so the villagers could come and enjoy the forest's beauty. He learned about its medicinal herbs to heal people. He started a program to replant young trees, and a miracle occurred. As he let go of the burden of ownership, all his anxiety vanished. In its place grew a sense of peace and a great purpose. By giving up on mastering the forest, he received its most precious gift, the very soul of the forest. This story contains an ultimate truth about our relationship with wealth. Let go of the illusion of ownership and embrace the role of steward. The truth is this: nothing is truly yours. Everything you have, your money, your home, your talents, your knowledge, is universal energy temporarily entrusted to you to care for, nurture, and direct. The illusion of ownership is the root of all financial fear. You fear losing my money. You fear others taking my property. When you transform your perception, releasing the role of owner to embrace the sacred role of steward, you are set free. The burden of anxiety falls away. Your relationship with money is no longer one of fearful clinging, but one of purposeful and joyful service. And here is a sacred paradox that will open an even greater flow. The universe entrusts more resources to effective stewards. The universe operates like an infinitely wise investor. It will continuously pour more capital into projects that are well managed and yield great returns for the whole. When you act as a trustworthy steward, one who knows how to make the resources entrusted to you flourish and serve a greater good, you become a channel that the universe wants to invest in even more. The universe sees, this channel is very effective. The energy that flows here is not blocked by ego or fear. It is directed wisely to create more life and beauty. Let us send more resources there. By becoming a good steward, you are demonstrating your readiness for even greater flows of prosperity, the distilled universal law. So what is that greater good? What is the ultimate purpose of all this flow? The true purpose of prosperity is to serve awakening. The ultimate purpose of wealth is not just personal comfort or the ability to be charitable. It is a purpose even more sacred and profound. It is the fuel for the awakening and the evolution of consciousness. When you direct your prosperity to serve the raising of awareness by supporting education, art, healing, or by becoming a living example of peace and wisdom, You have aligned yourself with the deepest purpose of the universe. This is the point at which wealth is no longer a goal you pursue, but becomes a natural and inevitable expression of your union with the sacred flow. You no longer work for prosperity. Prosperity works through you. Transformational practice. The Steward's Oath. This exercise is a ritual for you to formally embrace your new role and dedicate your financial life to a higher purpose. Step 1. Transform assets into entrustments. Take a piece of paper and write at the top a record of entrustment. Below that list the main forms of wealth in your life. Money, home, your skills, knowledge, time. Next to each item, rewrite it from the perspective of a steward. Instead of my money, write this financial energy entrusted to me to manage and direct. Instead of my house, write this home, a space of safety entrusted to me to care for. Instead of my skills, write these skills, tools given to me to create value. Step 2. Define your mission of service. Now that you are a steward, define your mission. Ask yourself, what is the highest purpose these resources can serve through me? Focus on awakening. Your mission could be to serve the bringing of inner peace to others through my ability to listen, or to serve the inspiration of creativity in the next generation. Step 3. Recite the oath. Take your record of entrustment in your hands. Stand in a place of dignity and recite this oath aloud with all your sincerity. I, your name from this day forward, do hereby accept the sacred role of steward. I understand that all abundance in my life is not my personal property, but the energy of the universe given in trust. I commit to managing these resources with integrity, wisdom, and compassion. I dedicate the flow of prosperity that moves through me to serve the highest purpose, the awakening, healing, and evolution of consciousness for myself and for all. I am no longer an owner. I am one who serves. Let all my actions reflect this truth. When you have taken this oath from the depths of your heart, your relationship with wealth will be forever changed. It will no longer be a burden to fear, but an honor to serve. Carry this affirmation with you as a reminder of your sacred role. I own nothing yet. I care for all that is entrusted to me. My hands are open, my heart is open, and through me the sacred flow of the universe finds its path. Chapter 30. Becoming the Ocean. When the drop recognizes itself. I remember a cool dawn when I had come to the end of my path of seeking. I sat in a silent garden, a place where abundance was no longer a goal, but the very air I breathed. I had mastered every technique, understood every principle, but deep within I still felt one final attachment. The most subtle and invisible of threads, the attachment to the very identity of one who is enlightened, a master, one who had succeeded. I was still someone who had journeyed from point A to point B. And then my eyes fell upon a single dewdrop glistening on a lotus leaf. I observed it completely. I saw the entire universe reflected in that tiny drop. As the first rays of the dawn sun touched it, the dewdrop did not die. It gently evaporated, merging with the air, becoming one with the light, with the sky. It didn't go anywhere. It simply returned to its true, vast, and formless nature. The dewdrop was never truly separate from the sky. It was only ever a temporary form of the sky. In that moment, I understood. My entire journey, all the efforts, the rituals, the achievements were the process of a dewdrop slowly recognizing its own nature as the sky. And in that recognition, the final identity of one who has arrived also dissolved just as the dewdrop merged with the sunlight. There was no longer a seeker, no longer a path, only being. This is the truth that lies beyond all truths. Prosperity is not a circumstance. It is an eternal state of being. Prosperity is not something you achieve. It is not a house, a bank account, or a social status. Those are external circumstances, temporary forms. True prosperity is an eternal state of existence, the natural essence of your soul, when it is in complete harmony with the universe. The entire journey we have taken was not to build wealth. It was to remove the veils of illusion that obscured the truth that you already are that wealth. And this is the ultimate goal of the entire spiritual path. Go beyond doing and having to the realm of being. The whole journey through rituals, principles, and exercises ultimately leads you to a point of transcendence. The ultimate goal is not to do better or to have more. The goal is to move from the realm of doing, practicing techniques, and having, possessing assets, to abide fully in the realm of being. When you are no longer trying to get abundance, but are simply a living embodiment of abundance, you have achieved true mastery. You no longer need to tune the radio because you are the music, the distilled universal law. When you abide in this realm of being, you will realize a truth about your legacy. Your true legacy is the frequency you radiate, not the assets you leave behind. Look beyond a single human lifetime. The material assets you leave behind will eventually be eroded by time. But there is something that is immortal. Your most valuable and eternal legacy is the frequency of prosperous consciousness that you have cultivated and radiated throughout your life. When you become a living embodiment of abundance, of peace, of gratitude, and of love, you become a beacon. And the energetic ripples of your being will continue to spread, touching, uplifting, and enriching countless souls through many generations in ways your mind can never measure. This is the immortal wealth, a wealth woven into the very fabric of the cosmos. Transformational practice, the stillness beyond all practice. This final exercise is a non-practice. It is an invitation for you to let go of all tools and simply come home. Step 1. Choose a non-time. Set aside 5 minutes in your day. Don't call it meditation time or visualization time. Call it time to be. Step 2. Let go of all tools. Sit down comfortably. Close your eyes. Consciously decide that for these 5 minutes, you will do nothing. You will not practice a breathing technique. You will not try to visualize anything. You will not repeat an affirmation. You will not try to feel grateful or joyful. Gently put down all the tools, all the techniques that you have learned. Step 3. Simply be. Your only task for these 5 minutes is this. Be aware that you are aware. Recognize thoughts as they come and go, but do not follow them. Recognize the sounds around you, but do not label them. Recognize the sensations in your body, but do not analyze them. Lying beneath all of that movement, there is a still, silent, wordless, formless awareness, a simple sense of existing. Abide in that awareness. There is nowhere to go, nothing to do, and no one to become. You already are it. This is the practice of dissolving the seeker and resting in the state of being. When the 5 minutes are over, do not rush back into the world of doing. Carry a little of that stillness with you into your day. You have just touched your true home. Carry this affirmation not as something to say, but as a truth to live. I am not the drop of water. I am the entire ocean. I do not seek the light. I am the light. I do not pursue prosperity. I am prosperity.